Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know, I'm your humble host, the Y'all Mean the Revolution. And we got Drones vs. Orbs. Drones vs. Orbs. FAA issues flight bans over New Jersey. Let's get right into it.
This is WW3. We have the FAA issuing a temporary ban on all drone operations and flights in multiple areas across New Jersey. This is put in place until next month. As you can see on the right side of the screen, you can see that all of these are listed under security. So there's this big security event that is going down that is stopping anyone from getting the drone off the ground for the next month, all the way up to right before inauguration. They're not saying that there's anything crazy going on. They're not saying anything, but the same old everything's fine. And these drones that you're seeing are acting lawfully. They're not wanting to tell you who it is or what's going on with it, but we just had a representative come out of one of these classified meetings on film and try to calm people down. He said this is a federal government program. That is what you are witnessing right now. He said it out of his own mouth. And these things look to be scanning all types of stuff. He also went on to say that they're not sniffing for anything. You know, how much is true, how much is a lie is up for debate here. But it seems that out of all the intel that we're gathering, these things are indeed military-grade drones, probably by Black Ops or some kind of DARPA type of group that produces these things and has this high technology. These things are not giving off a thermal signature. So I have a challenge for folks out there that are in the area. If you see one of these in the skies in New Jersey in the next month, it shouldn't be a normal drone. They're not allowed to be in the sky. It's going to be these ones that they're not giving us any answers on. And we need to see if we can see them in a thermal scope. No one wanted to accept the challenge and go out in a boat and follow these things into the ocean. And it baffles me how no one can even jump in the car and try to follow these things and at least attempt to do it. If it outruns you, then show us. We need to see it. We have military saying that these things have outran them 400 miles. They had to stop for fuel, so it outran them. These things are high technology. They're not giving off any kind of signal. There's no signals being sent to or from. So they're assuming that these things are being pre-programmed or ran by AI or, again, another type of technology. It's being rolled out right in front of our face while they gaslight us and lie about it for the most part. Now, this is the latest. I want folks to know if you try to go into this region and get a drone into the air to do anything, it's not going to happen. This is the latest. I'll update with more on X as I get it. Make sure you're following me and checking in there and here on the YouTube channel daily for updated information because they don't like to send out notifications. This has been WW3. Eyes to the skies. This is WW3. I want to share with you guys here a clear image and some video of this mystery object off the coast of New Jersey. This is at a time where there shouldn't be any other things in the sky. If you missed the last video, there's an FAA warning out banning all flights over many different areas in New Jersey. Well, we have Matthew Nelson catching this object right here along with video footage. And he says he was sitting outside in his front yard talking to a buddy, and all of a sudden they scrambled 4 F-16 fighter jets. And this is very near Atlantic City, New Jersey. They look up, and next thing they know, they see this bright orb. And this is one of the closer frames where you zoom in. It was up there around 25,000 feet. I'm going to play some video footage so you guys can see this thing moving. You can see the object is kind of slowly moving around. It's not like anything that I've ever seen before. This is in the ballpark of an orb, if you ask me. This individual says he's familiar with fighter jets, military aircraft, drones, and it was neither. And it raises the question, what is it? You can see here in this other frame, the object as he tries to zoom in on it before he loses it in the clouds. A very weird looking object. It doesn't look to be anything known out there in terms of aircraft. And it looks to be intelligently controlled. Again, he said it was up there, way up there, about 25,000 feet. He got some really good footage. And we got some stills of it from that. You can see there as it starts to disappear into the clouds. And looking at the detail of this, it is just very, very crazy looking. It seems something absolutely massive is going on. Your government is gaslighting you. They're trying to say whatever. I actually have video footage of them coming out and admitting that this is a federal government program, is what they called it. In terms of the drones, this is something completely different. The drones and the new technology connected with them is one thing. This is something completely different. An unknown mystery object, truly, this massive orb floating through the skies in the same area here where they just shut down the airspace. Something huge is going on. And I discussed this on the live streams, guys, in great detail about what they're out there scanning, what they're looking for. Are they looking for these things that are here? A lot of questions flying. Something's going on, and there's a lot more than just one object out there. There seems to be quite a few. If you get any footage, let me know. WW7@yahoo.com.
That is just insane.
What? What? Oh, you know Jesus.
There is a very deadly weapon.
All aircraft use extreme caution. Patterson class Delta is now closed for heavy UAS activity.
Whatever it was, just shut down the drone.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for choosing this video to get your updates regarding the New Jersey drone situation, okay? Or the UAP situation, because let's be honest, we don't really know what they are. We don't know what they're up to. We don't know what they're coming, where they come from. So that, in my mind, they're unidentified aerial phenomenon, okay? But I do appreciate you choosing this video because there is a whole range of creators covering this topic, okay? Talking about topics, mate, the reason why this video is uploaded late is because I have a mountain of information to go over, some of which I guarantee you don't know about, it's concerning and shocking, but in the same time, we should just try to relax a little bit, because I think that what happens is when people are left in the dark, which we clearly are, right? We're clearly not being told everything about this. Some people have a tendency to catastrophize, to think about the worst, right? Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be aware and worried, because it's not right. It's not your everyday thing that you're seeing these drones or UAPs hovering above people's houses, okay? Right? And I gotta say, it's not just New Jersey anymore, right? This is spreading throughout United States like a virus. I do find it funny, and I have to mention this. A few videos ago, quite a few now, maybe a week or two ago, beginning of December, I think, I mentioned about a computer program which was created by Cliff High. He created this program using linguistics and things like this. I'm not too entirely sure what happened, but he programmed this thing to predict the future. And in doing so, there were certain trigger points that had to happen throughout history to end up having a particular event, right? One of which was a Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump. If that happened, the prediction said that 39 days after the Joe Rogan Trump interview, from then on, we're going to have at some point UFO fighting against other UFOs, and UFO fight against our own tech, human tech, right? We're having air battles. That's what it predicted. And lo and behold, what is happening now?
Ooh, that whatever it was just shut down the drone.
I want to start off by talking about a gentleman. He's the CEO of a drone manufacturing company, right? Now, he's made a lot of people panic. He's ruffled a lot of feathers. Now, I'm briefly going over this because it's his idea, is his thought. He never said it is happening. He says, in his opinion, he thinks this is what's happening, all right? Basically, in a nutshell, nuclear warheads were transported to the US. And what he's saying is, which funny enough, he echoed something that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Why are these drones only being seen at night? If they're surveillance drones, surely it should be in the daytime, right? Because cameras work better in the daytime. When he mentioned this, he basically said the only reason, unless they've got infrared cameras, night vision, the only reason to try to have drones in the evening is because they're smelling something. They're literally trying to smell something, like sniffer dogs. They're trying to sniff out nuclear radiation. Take a listen to what he says. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it does go on for quite some time, but this is what he says.
I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States. And they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night, unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. So we have special sensors that can detect gas leaks. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground, gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever.
Now, a couple of things about that. I went on, he's actually got another 2 parts to it, which I've watched. Now, he mentioned that the reason why they're going that low is because they're trying to smell something. However, on his second video, I think he mentions that the reason why they are flying low is because they are adhering to FAA regulations. Not only that, he also goes on to say that the blinking lights that they have on these drones are also FAA regulations. So you know which way they're going, which way they're moving. All right. So that sort of explains why they're going low. So are they going low because they're smelling something, or are they going low because they're adhering to the FAA regulations? So there's a little bit of a confusion there. But my thought is, I'm taking a step back because this channel is obviously about the paranormal, but originally why I covered this story is because there was an inkling that they may have been extraterrestrial, some sort of alien technology, right? And what we're getting at the moment, we're also getting orbs which are being seen, recorded, orbs actually taking these drones down. Maybe if they are sniffing something out, maybe are these drones from the government searching for radioactive material, but not a nuke? Maybe they're searching for alien technology. There's a reason why I say that. And I'm going to be referring to this a couple of times. Now, I recently did an interview with Nick Pope. Please make sure you go and check that out, right? I had him on the channel. We spoke for 2 hours regarding his time at the UK MOD. Between the times of 1991 and 1994, his job was to investigate the UFO phenomena. He spoke to me about the Rendlesham forest incident, which basically, cut a long story short, UFO was spotted coming over Rendlesham in the UK, landing, taking off, and going back and forth a couple of days, right? Now, Nick Pope said that the radiation in that particular spot where the UFO landed, took off and shot off, was 6 times higher than normal. 6 times higher. So maybe the CEO is correct in what he's saying, but they're not looking for a nuke. They're looking for aliens. They're looking for extraterrestrial. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Ben, okay, I know you love aliens and I know you love UAPs, UFOs, but let's not go there. But why not? The amount of UAPs which is in the air at the moment, and we know about New Jersey's history of seeing UAPs. Is this them going out and saying, okay, we've got a concern here now. We need to try and find these things because maybe these orbs are popping up a little bit too often. I'm also going to be referring back to Nick Pope's and my interview in a bit because something else has popped up. So I'm just going to hold that there for you. All right. The next thing that we need to speak about is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has been shut down. Well, it hasn't. It was shut down yesterday for 4 hours. Do you know what for? Because of heavy UAP. Listen to this audio that I've got for you. This is, mate, I'm telling you, This is just getting stupid.
Patterson Tower, med flight 8, 1,900 feet, about 7 miles southwest of the field, like transition your Delta northeastbound.
Med Flight 8 Patterson Tower, use extreme caution for heavy UAS movement on the base. Security forces is handling the situation. Suggest at or above 1700 AGL.
That we will maintain 2,000 and on our transition for Med Flight 8.
And I gotta keep the lights down so that security forces can see.
Roger that, no problem.
Position approved, sir.
Approved, Med Flight 8.
Med Flight 8 Tower.
Ahead for Med Flight 8.
Hey, sir, you're still approved through our Class Delta. After you leave, Columbus is going to sterilize the Class Delta as of 0330 Zulu. Patterson Class Delta is closed after your transition.
I'm sorry about that. You got stepped on by other traffic. Can you say again?
Yes, sir. Your transition is still approved. However, Patterson Class Delta is sterilized as of 0330 Zulu for heavy unknown UAS activity. Security forces is handling it, and Columbus is going to sterilize the airspace after you leave the Delta.
Roger that. No problem. Thank you.
So there you go. They had to close the whole thing down because of heavy UAP activity. There was something else that Nick Pope said regarding the Rendlesham Forest incident. So what's quite interesting is how many times air bases has reported strange UAP activity. Look at Langley Air Base as well. That happened there. Now, the Rendlesham Forest as well, going back to Nick Pope's interview, he mentioned something. This was happening back in 1980. Take a listen to this.
And there was subsequently almost the last thing that happened on these 3 consecutive nights was that light beams from the UFO penetrated the weapons storage area. And it's alleged that some of the ordnance, shall I say, I'm choosing my words carefully,
Yeah.
was affected in some way by this. Obviously not detonated, but maybe switched off, maybe scanned. Nobody knows. But when that was...
That's crazy. Now, what I have to say is the Rendlesham Forest is situated bang smack in the middle of 2 air bases, UK air bases, which at the time, again, were occupied by the US, right? So a UFO came up, went across, scanned at these weapons and did something to them, right? And then shot off. I'm just saying, these UAPs are going over air bases, hanging out there for a while, okay? This is, I would say, major news. British warship fights off hundreds of attack drones. The HMS St. Albans demonstrated its ability to counter aerial threats during a demanding sharpshooter gunnery exercise, facing over 100 simulated drone attacks off the Welsh coast. The exercises incorporated lessons from recent Red Sea incidents, marked the first time aerial drones were included in the Royal Navy's sharpshooter training. The training designed to test the frigate's gunnery and the operations room's team involved a mix of traditional remote control boat threats and dynamic aerial drones. Run in collaboration with the Quanti-Q and the Fleet Operation Standards and Training FOST, the exercise featured Banshee Whirlwind drones launched from Aberporth range. These drones, small and fast, with a top speed of 200 knots, flew low over the waves to simulate challenging attack profiles. HMS St. Albans engaged these threats with precision, utilizing medium caliber weapons and small arms under direction of the operations team. Commander Matthew Tier, HMS St. Albans commanding officer, highlighted the value of the exercise. The quality of training has been better than I have ever seen, has been a career highlight thanks to the realism of the scenario. A fantastic experience and one which has been hugely beneficial to my ship's company. Crazy news. The UK military are training to fight off hundreds of drones. That's mad to think about. I saw that article and I thought I had to show you. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. Now I want to show you some brand new footage of these drones, but also these orbs actually fighting off these drones. And then also an explanation of what these drones could be. It gets crazy. I gotta be honest, it gets really crazy. So I'm going to show you a bunch of footage now regarding these orbs fighting off drones, moving in a particular weird way. This one in particular instantly changes direction, apparently, and also was seen 2,000 years ago. Check this out. Look, but hang on a second. Forgetting about this picture right now, all right? Now, you're either really intrigued about that picture or not that bothered, right? What I'm thinking about is the actual video. Because so many times we see these orbs just fly off, you know, change direction sharply. Look at this. Do you know any plane that looks like that can change direction like that? I haven't. I've not seen one, mate. This is Phoenix, Arizona. This one blew my mind when I saw it. This is one of these orbs taking down one of these drones. Watch what happens.
Something's going up real fast. A plane? I can't tell what it is. Whoa, is that moving quick?
Watch this, mate.
That could be a drone. I don't know what the hell that is. But that is quick. There's only one remaining right now. Whatever that green flashing one is, he moved quick around it.
Watch. Here we go.
Super quick.
Cool, fella.
He's like right there with it.
No, here we go. Look,
oh, he
goes up to it.
On it. Ooh, that whatever it was just shut down the drone with it. Go, he's like right on it. Ooh, that whatever it was just shut down the drone, if that was a drone.
What?
Holy crap.
So I'm right. Okay. Now we're going to talk about these orbs in a second. But is this the battle, the air battle that was predicted? We've got drones, human tech, orbs, alien tech, right? Now, are these man-made drones sniffing out alien tech, trying to find where the radiation's coming from? And these orbs are like, hang on a second, we're taking you out. I mean, okay, that is crazy to think about, a little bit far-fetched. I think that if they were going to, there'd be a lot more orbs going straight away, all these drones are going to be falling out of the sky. It would have happened like that, I think. But I do find that incredible how that thing just went up to the drone, boom, straight down, fell. Like I think I've got some more as well.
All right, we're back less than 24 hours later with another drone interaction with an orb. This is over New Jersey. All I know about it is that this was a repost from somebody who was in a Facebook group, and that person had filmed this interaction.
Yeah,
you can see there's another orb circling the larger orb, and it kind of flies away from it.
U.S. government.
I just posted one earlier today from Phoenix, Arizona. And then it's going to cut to this very clearly one of our drones or something man-made. I can't tell if it flies in front of it, but it passes down and then it shoots off. It's going to replay again, but honestly, it's getting insane. The lack of information
it doesn't fall though, does it? It shoots off.
Is really disturbing, and the fact that it's happening more and more. I mean, this is the third video I've seen today of a drone interacting with one of these orbs. And what do they have to do with each other? It's just really crazy.
Is it a dock system where these orbs are the energy source for these drones? Hence why these drones can stay up in the air for so long. Is that what they are? Just refueling? Because these plasmoids, if they are plasmoids, they're like basically mini suns. Yeah? It goes into a little bit more scientific proof than explanation than that, but you know, that's basically what they are. Like a plasma that can harness energy, clean energy. Anyway, let's look at some more. Now, this is the weirdest one that I've seen. I just don't know what to make of this. Some people are saying plastic bag. Like, what? Hang on a second. What are you on about, mate? Right? Strange drone UFO spotted hovering and spinning New Jersey. Now, the reason why I want to show you this is because, one, it looks weird as F. But two, remember a few videos back when I showed you two instances of drones with their lights off, and it was almost like an X, right? Almost like the Xbox logo on a ball, but it was an X, like curling like that. It reminded me of this, and this is what I want to show you.
What in the ever-living fuck is that? Oh my God.
Right there. There and there. Now, where was it a minute? 1 second. Trying to find it here now. Here we go. That? This bit here? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, that's so scary. What is that? I'm not even tripping. Oh, that's so scary. Oh my God. Like, I'm not tripping, right? What is that?
Is that one of these orbs? A plasmoid just morphing into a different shape?
That's in our sky right now. I think this is it. I think this is them aliens.
It's so odd, man. So odd. Now, this is something that okay, it's maybe a coincidence. It's very strange. This person says that this orb reacted to what she said. And I gotta be honest with you, it did react when she said something. Watch. Like, what is that for a start?
That's kind of cool.
Can you talk to me? Can you hear me? Jesus loves me. Oh, you know Jesus. You know Jesus. Jesus is awesome, isn't he? Yes, he is. God is good. God is good. God is good.
Coincidence? I don't know, but it's very, very strange. Very strange. Watch this UFO teleport across the sky. Now, I've got to be honest with you, man. This is just ridiculous. It's hard to see, but when you do see it, like I don't know if this is fake, but this is incredible. Watch this. We're going to go back to New Jersey, but I needed to show you this. Right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What was that? You guys. I got that. I got that.
See it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What was that? You guys.
Mate, this is crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. 2 unknown drones interacting, New Jersey, December 14th.
What the fuck is that? What the hell? Okay, something's going on. Something's going on. What is that next to it? What the fuck? A part of me is starting to maybe think like that red drone is someone's drone. Like someone here putting it up, like police or something like that. And the one above it is the unidentified drones. I don't know. That's not accurate. I am just saying my theory because that red drone is really low. It's kind of weird. And oh my God, look at that one going.
What
the fuck is
what?
that?
It's so, mate. I've sometimes words I can't explain. This video here is literally gone viral. It's got 6.3 million views already. New video of an unidentified flying drone flying over Somerset County in New Jersey 2 days ago. Look at this. This is straight from Star Wars, mate.
I've been seeing them at like 4 in the morning.
Have you?
Listen to it too.
Twice.
That's very. I mean, that is the exact sound I heard the other morning.
Hear it?
That is just insane. You didn't hear the other one now.
If you take away the wind sound, it does sound like it sounds like some sort of thruster, but you're not seeing anything coming from the back of it, or a drone of some sort. Drone, excuse the pun. It's like a whirling.
It's just like that. It's gone.
And all the dogs going crazy too, right?
I've been seeing them at like 4 in the morning.
What, mate? This gives an explanation of what these plasmoids are and what they do. Listen.
And what would be the fuel?
Well, plasmoids. Plasmoids, as it says here, are donut or toroidal-shaped clusters of net protons or net electrons that once captured and placed into a toroidal orbit are capable of absorbing, storing, and releasing enormous amounts of energy within their self-generated and structured electromagnetic containment field. Plasmoids, in effect, function as an atomic battery that can be self-charging due to its ability to convert matter to available clean energy. So it's a lot to get into, and I think it would take us kind of off what we're here to talk about.
But
today,
at least what's promising is that there is some, at least, research or understanding.
And it's actually quite mature at this point.
Mm.
And in order to avoid the kinds of fate that befell Tesla and Reich, Robert Oppenheimer, Victor Schauberger, and so many others that were working in these fields, all kind of converging on this same insight. It's been conducted in secret. The laboratory that they've been developing this is in the Maldives, so that it's been immune from government interference. And now I think it's about ready to go the next.
There is a hell of a lot more that I want to go into, but the video is already taking up a lot of time. I hope
Last night, I saw about 10 to 12 different drones surrounding our apartment complex.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are?
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
In the past 20 minutes, I think we've seen about 15 of these drones.
Are we under attack or about to be?
Where are you from,
man? I've been seeing them at like 4 in the morning.
Have you?
Like twice.
Hello everyone, I'm Max, and today I'm here to maximize your fear. So I'm sure if you're watching this video, a lot of you have heard about the news about the UAPs and drones in New Jersey. Long story short, mysterious large drones have been flying across New Jersey and all around the skies for about a month now, specifically in the whole upper northeast region of the US. And the strange thing is, nobody at all knows what these things are. Could they be aliens or top secret government technology? They come in all shapes and sizes. From strange orbs to blinking colorful lights to airplane-type crafts to strange star-like crafts. There are so many, and they're seen multiple times throughout the day and throughout the night. Not only do citizens not know what they are, but the entire US government doesn't know what they are. Or at least that's what they say. They claim they have no idea what's going on. I mean, we have a whole organization dedicated to taking down these UAPs and drones called the AARO, also known as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. On their website, they state, "Our team of experts is leading the US government's efforts to address unidentified anomalous phenomena using rigorous scientific framework and a data-driven approach. Their goal is to improve data collection and mitigate the potential threats to safety and security posed by these UAPs." And not only do we have this organization, but we have the Department of Homeland Security. So where the heck are they at now? Why aren't they shooting down these potential drones or at least doing something? I don't know. Something seems off to me about the whole thing. So now that you know the full backstory on all these sightings, let's dive into only the best, craziest, and clearest sightings of these unidentified flying objects. Let's start off with the drone crash in New Jersey. Reportedly, one of these strange crafts crash landed in an open field. Eyewitnesses watched this with their own eyes, and they saw the craft crash into the field, so they called authorities. This occurred behind the Hillsborough Promenade, there in New Jersey. So, according to police report, Township Police rushed to the scene at approximately 8:34 p.m. on Thursday, December 12, 2024. The eyewitnesses said they saw it hit nearby high-tension lines, and then it crashed into the field there. But when officers arrived on the scene, nothing was there at all. No sign of a crash, nothing. And this wasn't just a little search where they could possibly miss something. According to My Central Jersey's news report, they stated, police officers, the Hillsborough Office of Emergency Management, Somerset County Office Emergency Management, Hillsborough Volunteer Fire Department, Robert Wood Johnson EMS, and the State Police Aviation Unit all searched the whole entire area. They searched from the air and also on foot, and they found absolutely nothing, police said. The following day, they came back at 7:30 a.m. in broad daylight so they could see better and get a better investigation done. And the Millstone Valley Fire Department flew their own drones over the area in question in search for any other clues or possibly missed details. Once again, as you may have guessed, nothing was found. The Somerset County Hazardous Material Unit also came out and did a massive search that day. After an extensive search, nothing again. How could one of these mysterious drones possibly crash without a single trace at all? It seemed to vanish off the face of the earth. This is one of the sightings that points more towards the theory of the supernatural being responsible. These being foreign crafts from another planet, UFOs if you will, that are beyond our understanding. With all of this being said, take a look at this girl's sighting and story.
I live right up the road, and last night I saw about 10 to 12 different drones. I pulled my phone out and recorded.
Sounds like a helicopter.
I heard today that there was a possible drone crashing here. So I'm here just seeing what is going on because no one has answers for us.
Allison Bettyman, a resident of Hillsborough, captured this video and heard about the crash as well. But just take a look at how strange this drone looks. It's hovering in place, flashing red, green, and white lights. It looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. I mean, this doesn't look like any ordinary drone. And speaking of not looking like any ordinary drone, let's move on to this sighting here.
Let's zoom in on that. That's max. No, it's not max zoom. All right, so there's one right there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Stupid gloves. Stupid gloves. See how they're like a triangle? And you see how many more are in the sky? Got one right there, one right there.
You can tell these things aren't just ordinary drones. They're many, many miles up into the sky, and they're absolutely massive. Some of them seem to be plane-sized. It's crazy how he captures not one, but multiple, flying throughout the night sky. This one occurred specifically in Essex Morris, New Jersey, on December 13th, 2024. And I'm telling you guys, hundreds and hundreds of these videos have come out already. Check out this one coming in from Fairfield, New Jersey.
This. God, look. That's not a plane.
This one was taken on December 14th, the day after the previous one. It shows strange, plane-like objects twisting and rotating, equipped with large red blinking lights. They soar throughout the night, making a slight humming sound, showing us they were indeed there in real time. Now, the following two UFO clips are some of the eeriest of all time. These ones certainly look otherworldly.
I've been seeing them at like 4 in the morning.
Have you?
Like twice.
I mean, that is the exact sound I heard the other morning.
The first craft is jet black, and it soars quickly through the sky at dusk. It has two sharp wings sticking way out, almost like claws or something. The craft is sleek and completely otherworldly. This one was uploaded to TikTok with the caption, "New video of an unidentified flying drone over Somerset County in New Jersey." Along with this one, the same man posted this video of a similar looking aircraft. It seems these crafts only come out at dusk and patrol the dark skies over the city. But this one almost looks like a boat or something, flying in the air. It almost reminds me of the Flying Dutchman's ship from SpongeBob, if you've ever seen that. But just check it out. There's no shot this is a worldly craft. Could these two captures here be the real deal? Some speculate these ones here could be AI because the quality is so good and so HD, but the uploader and online viewers and experts attest. However, we do know for a fact this whole drone epidemic is 100% real, despite if these videos are or not. These two videos, that is. But now let's move on to a different kind of evidence. Brand new court footage from CBS News shows directly what the government has to say about all of this. A senior FBI official told the House of Homeland Security Committee at the hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd, that these sightings are concerning and that the agency is trying very hard to investigate the encounters. Watch this short highlight from the hearing.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are?
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
The Bureau is actively investigating. We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that.
I definitely agree. How the heck do we not know what these drones are? We have some of the best investigative technology here in the US, and we still don't know what these things are. I mean, these things are popping up so frequently that even a news reporter who was live on the air captured them on camera. And not just a small amount, he captured 50 of them. He states maybe even 50 plus. 50 plus drones this man captures live on the air.
In the past 20 minutes, I think we've seen 15 of these drones. In fact, there's one right over my shoulder, right there.
His name is Rich McHugh with News Nation. He says, quote, "If this is not the military, this is even more terrifying," end quote. Which there's no way it's the military because the government would know about it, right? And as you know, they claim to know nothing. McHugh continues on describing the crafts. He describes them as fixed-winged crafts with multiple lights, sometimes red and green lights, and 3 white blinking lights. He recalls they even tried to chase one, but it rapidly sped off, leaving them puzzled and clueless. He states, quote, "I'm not really sure how to process what we saw last night. My cameraman and I were stunned by the whole experience." Just some crazy, crazy stuff. And it doesn't even come close to stopping there. People have been photographing these strange UFOs or drones, and for some reason when you zoom in, they look almost like portals to other dimensions or something. This one here has a bunch of strange lights and striations throughout, and it's glowing whitish gold. This one here kind of resembles the one before, but it's a bright cobalt blue. This one here is a strange light orb. It almost looks like a blob of colors and lights all morphed together floating in the sky. This one here looks like a plane, but the front of it is glowing pink. Looks like something straight out of Star Wars or something. Even though I've never seen Star Wars before, don't hate on me in the comments. But anyways, this one here is just downright weird and unearthly. Here is another strange photo someone allegedly took during the day. At first, it doesn't seem too crazy, but when you zoom in, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. Now, when I think of alien crafts from another planet, this is a textbook example. Continuing on with pictures, I have some insider exclusive evidence that no one has seen. I have a friend who does YouTube as well. I met him in Florida. His name's Eric, and his channel is called Jersey and FL Fishing Channel. And his mom actually still lives in Jersey, and she's caught many of these things on camera. On Wednesday the 11th, Eric stated, "Actual picture my mom took of a UAP/drone over New Jersey. She's had several sightings over her house for nights. After this one, he later stated that she now sees up to 6 of them over her house every single night." Here are her zoomed in photos. All of this being said, I think it's time I now show you one of the best videos. A TikTok user by the name of Zik Show was outside watching these devices fly through the night outside of his house in his neighborhood, his small desolate neighborhood. And he gets some of the best footage of one of these drones, but also something else unexpected happens.
He knows this is where I buy my vape pods. Well, I don't know. What the heck? That looks crazy. Why does the light look like that? Okay, it's just an optical thing.
As he's trying to film the drone, the light begins to expand, causing a strange light phenomenon within his camera. He's puzzled and caught off guard by the light. Even when he zooms in past the light, the phenomenon is still happening. Which is really strange, because you would think it would be from the reflection of the light messing with a sensor in his camera or something. But why is it still there when he's not even filming it? The light is out of frame, and it still looks like that. Could it be something supernatural? Anyways, the drone eventually comes into focus, and wow, that's some great footage. One of my favorite sightings of them all for sure. Strangely enough, this isn't the only strange phenomenon that happened while these UFOs were out. A group of friends were driving around watching these drones, following them in their car, when they began flipping through different radio stations. Eventually, they landed on this one, 106.7, a Christmas channel in New York, a nearby area. But instead of Christmas music, they heard this. Otherworldly noises echo through the car's stereo. Something is just downright eerie about the noises. They're deep, but high-pitched at the same time. They sound like they're coming from an alien humanoid or something. I don't know how else to explain it, honestly. But what do you guys think about all of this? And I also have some more brand new insider evidence. I was relaxing last night playing some video games when one of my friends texted me. He lives in Cleveland, Ohio, and he looked up in the sky and saw some of these drones. He said that he thought the whole drone thing was just BS and that they were fake until he saw them for himself. Now, Cleveland, Ohio is about a 7-hour and 30-minute drive to New Jersey, so it's a considerable distance. So why are these drones all the way here in Cleveland, Ohio? Are they traveling across the US and making their way around now? As a result of these mysterious UAPs in Cleveland, Ohio, an Air Force base was shut down. Anyways, here's his footage.
Not gonna lie, I thought this drone was bullshit, but I'm not kidding, dude. They're flying over Cleveland right now. 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there as well. Then you got 5. You got, oh wow, you can see 1. I don't know if you guys can see, but I can see about 8 or 9 right here, all in this picture. Oh, there you go. See a little of them right there? Dude, what the
So what do you guys think about all of this? From the UAP crash to all the crazy HD sightings to the strange occurrences and photos, what are we thinking? There are two main theories that people are leaning towards: alien-operated UFOs or secret government crafts. It was also made aware to me that incoming President Trump spoke on this and said that the government knows. He stated that the government knows exactly what they are, and for some reason they're keeping it from us. It's unknown if this is true, but this is what he said. So as I was saying, the government claims to know nothing. So could this all be a scheme and they know exactly what they are? Some even hypothesize that the government is putting out these drones and made these sightings intentional because of the previous UAP sightings that were going viral and the whole UAP hearing that was going on in America. And it seems like they're trying to make us forget about all that or something. I don't know. Whistleblowers have been claiming that the government has been hiding a bunch of UAP evidence from us, such as clear videos, UAP crashes, and many other pieces of evidence. Is this whole drone thing just proving this? Could these strange crafts really be UFOs? UFOs made and controlled by aliens? I don't know. This world keeps getting weirder and more mysterious by the day, it feels like. And I just wanted to make a video to try to get to the bottom of it and discuss it with you all, and to share with you some of the best sightings and best evidence of it all. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like
Oh my gosh, do you see that?
God, I'm looking at this, I can't believe it. It's not a...
These beings are speaking. They're making themselves known.
Hello and welcome back. Or if you're new here, I appreciate you clicking on. Because there is so much in this video, and I don't want you to miss it, I'm going to have to give you sort of like a brief overview of what we're going to look at on today's video, all right? Because if you don't watch it all, you will miss out on some amazing things, amazing theories, amazing visuals. Okay, so we've got drones, we've got orbs, we've got weird stuff happening on the ground, we've got tech that could be related to something else, we've got stories from people that know their stuff that could explain a lot of things and is absolutely freaky as hell, which also coincides with Cliff High's theory about this UFO attack, you know, the prediction that his computer made, okay, this UFO attack. Like, that is a very brief overview of what's going on. But before we get into that video, please just take a little look at this. Today's sponsor is Sihu. If your job or hobby involves spending long hours seated at a desk, this might not only interest you, but could genuinely help improve your health of 1945. In fact, not just that year, August the 6th. Because what happened there, the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Now listen to the dates, August 6th, 1945. Now the other day I did a video, and it was there was a small section when I spoke about a gentleman, a CEO of a drone company, suggesting that the idea was that they were sniffing out nuclear radiation, okay? This is what these drones were doing. And in fact, that message now has spread throughout the news outlets. In fact, what these drones are actually doing is they're sniffing out nuclear radiation. Some people agree with that. Some people don't. Some people think that it might be just a little bit of a segue to get out or something. I'm not too sure. I don't want to go into that too much because I did cover it on the other video. The theory goes that these extraterrestrials are looking after us. They're keeping an eye on us. And when this nuclear bomb was hit on Hiroshima in 1945, extraterrestrials were like, that's no good. Let's get down there and we need to watch. Now, some people might connect that with evil, right? ETs being the demons. That was the start of something extremely dark that came into our lives. But I don't want to go into that one too yet, because I want to keep on the road here, right? A couple of years later, the Roswell incident in 1947. And a lot of people suggest that that was a burst of our technology. We were like doing this along the technology. And then the Roswell hit, and our technology just went whoop, like that, right? And apparently, the US may have taken this technology, reverse engineered it, and got things like fiber optics, Kevlar and memory metals, stealth aircraft technology, and listen to this one: integrated circuits, microchips. I just want you to listen to this video, because Google, but they have created a CPU. A CPU is like the brain of a PC, the brain of a laptop. You get it in your mobile phones. It's the square thing, right? Usually on a green motherboard with a silver square in the middle, right? And that does all the calculations, right? So listen to this. Right where we've got this stuff happening. I know. I'm just excited about it, right? Listen.
Okay, this may or may not be relevant for what's happening right now, but just earlier on this week, Google announced the release of a quantum chip. In a statement, they said it performed a computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years. This mind-boggling number exceeds known timescales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe. It lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse. Now, over the last decade or so, I'm sure you know.
This is like Endgame. This is Avengers Endgame. This is Doctor Strange thinking about every possible situation that could happen.
Noticed that the idea of a multiverse has become a lot more prevalent in our society, almost as if the concept has been eased into our consciousness. What if these crafts, these UAPs, are not coming from outer space or the oceans, but what if they're coming from another dimension entirely within our own planet?
Now, sounds far-fetched, I know, but there's also another gentleman that I'm going to show you near the end of this video that who knows his stuff. Well, he claims to know his stuff, and he was being very sort of safe around his story. I'm going to show you in a bit, okay? Let's just show you some footage of these orbs a minute and what they've been up to recently. The other day, I showed you a couple of videos of where these orbs were approaching these drones and the drones were falling out of the sky. Given it was only 2 videos, it's not something that is, I don't think there's actually a war going on. I think something happened there. There is a theory, one of my own theories, may have changed by now, I think, but I thought maybe the orbs are giving these drones energy, right? Hence why they can stay up in the air for so long. I'm not too sure about that now, because I think that if that was the case, we'd be seeing more of these orbs touching these drones. But mate, look at this. Just in, 2 drones spotted being followed by a helicopter in Bradenton, Florida. Right, this is good. I've got better ones, but I need to show you this. What I find amazing, other than just what I'm seeing here, is let's just think about these pilots in this helicopter. How many pilots out there that have been instructed to follow these things, to take photographs of these things? All these pilots working for the military, working for the government, they're all out there and they've got the knowledge and they're just not talking. All of them. It just made me think, it's like, this dude has literally been told to track, or dudette, to track 2 orbs in the sky. Amazing. I just, okay, and well done for the person who recorded this as well. Drones, ours, versus Plasmoids, the orbs, not only human origin. Look at this.
It is going down in Dimona. Look at this shit. Look at this. It's not even. Oh my God, they done shot like some smart bombs or something. Look at this shit. They in it. Drone bombs or something. Look at this. What? Oh my God, what they done shot over here? Look at this. I'm filming this shit. It is crunk. It is crunk out here. What? What they done shot down?
They're just multiplying.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Look, look. Look. Every direction they coming.
Hobbyist.
All over.
Hobbyist drones. Now, talking about them separating, I've got footage now to show you of these orbs popping off these other orbs from it. It's, and people say this is Hobbyists? Like, come on now. Now, I saw a comment on one of my videos saying, it was obviously a local, right? And he said, I see these all the time, these orbs. They've got a mind of their own. They know what they're doing. These are not just like balls of energy flapping about in the sky. These things know what they're doing. And here's a video to prove it, right? Watch this. Helicopter approaches this orb. Here's a helicopter. Here's your orb. Watch. Bye. See you later. Look at this thing. Now, here's a video from the X account Tangle Titty. He DM'd me and he was like, Ben, I saw this. Check this out. Look. This is his own video. Look how bright this thing goes. Look at this. It's like they're scoping out for something. Amazing. These orbs are separating, or they're giving off other orbs. Look at this. This is in New York. All right. Someone's saying it's some sort of mothership.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it right there. Hold on, let me still get it. Let me still go focus in. You know that.
Jesus. God, I'm looking at this. I can't believe it. It's not a whistle now.
Oh my God, there's more coming.
Look at this.
What is it? Planes don't look that color. There's a. Is that it? Yeah, that's it right there. Hold on, let me still get it. Let me still go focus in. You know that.
Skyline over there, Nashville, Tennessee. That's the skyline over there. I'm gonna see if I can film this. It keeps showing up outside. Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna try to zoom in on this. Oh my gosh, do you see that? What the? Bro. I've seen it all over TikTok. Now I've literally seen it in person. This is right next to Nashville, Tennessee. Right in Nashville, Tennessee.
Now that is not hobbyist drones. There's been some weird stuff on the ground level as well for people. So we've got in the United Kingdom, streetlights doing this. This is something that you would see in the movies, guys. Normally when you have a power cut or a surge or something, they all go off at the same time and on, right?
Salute, family.
Not tubular bells. Go back over to the States. Look at this. Here we go. Could be. See, the other thing is as well, like, it's strange that you're seeing this, and this is what a lot of movie makers put on their videos, right? Lights flickering on their films, lights flickering before aliens come. Like, I'm sure they know things. I'm sure they do. And that's not all. Look at this. These are people's cars going off.
I had to like pull over and like pull this back up because I thought maybe it's a car party, right? There's a bunch of like those weird looking Tesla vehicles over there, and I thought maybe it's like a car club. They're just all meeting up, and it's a Thursday night. I just want to show you, but there's no one over there. There's not a body. There's not a person. Like if it was a car club, those are pretty common around Atlanta. But look at this. I'm gonna zoom in just so you. But the video that I heard it was like this girl who was saying like, have you seen any of like the lights flickering or anything like that. And then there was a guy in Jersey. He was like, yeah, my like house lights, I'm sorry. My house lights have been going off and like flickering. He made a video of like lights just like this, do the same thing in a parking lot. I have no idea how to find that or stitch it, but
that's not normal.
This is what's happening. Not a single person. And listen, I'll let the window down so you can hear. Because when I had like my radio on. There's no sound. Hold on, I'll even turn my car off.
That's so strange. So they're not. It's not the alarms going off. How peculiar. Now, news just in. Drones are being banned. Here we go.
Federal Aviation Administration issued bans on flying drones in multiple cities across New Jersey, including several in our area, due to security reasons. These areas are all now considered national. I
have to stop it there. He said, drones are being banned now in these locations due to security reasons. So what's the things been up there now for then for the 4 weeks? They're not security reasons? No? You can't take them down? If people ignore this and they go up there with their hobbyist drones, what are they going to do? Leave them and say it's no threat? You've just made a rule. So what happened to the rule 4 weeks ago?
National Defense airspace. Here's a map of those sites. The city of Camden, Gloucester City, Winslow Township, Evesham, Hancock's Bridge in Lower Alloways Township in Salem County, West Hampton, Burlington, and Hamilton. Unmanned aircraft are not allowed in those areas through January 17th unless approved by the federal government. The FAA says pilots who violate the airspace, meaning pilots on the ground as well, may be detained and interviewed by law enforcement. The agency warns that the U.S. government may use deadly force against drones it deems an imminent threat.
Okay, I get why they're doing it. I understand. Like they want to eliminate all of us taking our drones up there so they can actually assess the situation and find out if these actual drones are threats or not. But a lot of people, like some news outlets are saying that, you know, there's reports that they're all hobbyist drones. They're either hobbyist drones, stars, or helicopters. People's private own like helicopters and things like that. Like these are just, basically they're saying you're not seeing what you're seeing. Now, this next video I'm going to show you has been making the rounds and it's generating quite a little bit of a stir. There's a little bit of hate or confusion in some of the comments saying, oh, this is fake. But this is actually live footage. This is live footage of a beach in New Jersey, all right? Look at this. So we got 50 speed, all right? First of all, I think these lights going across, these are, they're either the drones or I would imagine, here we go, that there might be planes. But look at that. That happened. And you might be thinking, okay, well, it's when the sunrise hits a certain point that reflects off of the ocean and illuminates. Okay, I get it. The sunrise is constantly up, right? You would imagine if it gets to that certain perfect point, that's going to happen. It's going to illuminate everything like that. But watch. And I got to say, it doesn't look like a sunset. I know, you know, this part down here does, but the actual thing here doesn't look like one. But what's that all about? Why is that doing that? Why is it flashing like that? Look, is these orbs now? Are these drones? What is that? Now, somebody in comments also said, oh, that's fake. The sun doesn't rise over New Jersey in that area. Well, I was like, really? So I actually Googled some pictures. Sunrise in New Jersey Beach. And there's quite a lot of sunrises, pictures in New Jersey Beach. Okay, if you're a local there, please tell me, is that the case? But look at this one here. Look at that. Look at this. Just where'd that come from? Look there. That's a clear sky. So what's the cutoff like? Like, what's going on here? I don't see any clouds cutting that off. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. It's not a very clear image, you know, colorful, clear image. I don't see any clouds covering the sunrise, but I do know that there's sunrise there. Has it been doctored with? I've not gone over. I've got to be honest with you. I've not gone over to see the original live stream. Is the lens a little bit distorted? Is it a dirty lens? You know, is it a water droplet on the lens? I don't know. It's just very, very strange. I wanted to show you. Okay, over the water, videoed by a pilot, highly reputable. Look at this. You don't get drones that high. Maybe you do. I don't know. I don't think you do. That thing disappeared. Oh, there's 3 of them now. 4. It just. Did another one just come out of that? 5 of them. Oh my God. Holy moly. That was from a channel, an X account called Shorty. Now, potentially, we've got a drone in a tree. And after I'm going to show you this video, I'm then going to show you how somebody's enhanced these images, okay? Look at this, mate. This is like some sort of pod of some sort. Is this real? Is this fake? What? That's, mate, that's moving in there.
I think it's just the.
I think I've got a clearer video in a second. It's just this one's got no music.
What is going on right now? Those drones we've been seeing in New Jersey.
Hang on. So that thing's moving left and right. I just thought, okay, that's quite robotic. It's left, right, almost like a rhythm. And then it's just stopped.
New Jersey.
And a little bit. And now it's going mayhem again. What is going on?
These drone sightings are getting more crazier as the days are passing by. This was caught last night in New Jersey on December 16th of a super bright drone with bluish purple lights all surrounding. And it looks like it was caught or stuck in the tree. This had prompted about 7 police cars to respond to this matter.
All right, okay. I'm just throwing it out there. Are these ball things the alien sphere that Bob Lazar was trying to bloody reverse engineer? The anti-gravity things? The balls which you sometimes see underneath these UFOs? I'm just putting it out there, right? I'm probably wrong, but I'm just putting it out there.
Matter. Let me know your thoughts and comment below. Things are getting crazy.
The other day also, I mentioned to you how much history New Jersey has got for UFO sightings. Listen to this, man.
What people don't know is that Hudson County, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, is the #1 place in the country where they have the most UFO sightings.
Really? Northern New Jersey?
Look it up, Jamie, if you get a minute, please, not to be rude.
But isn't that like near a couple airports?
No, it's closer to, like, you know, like when you live in New York City and you look at the Hudson River, they say that people go on their balcony, they're drinking coffee, they're talking on the phone, and they'll see a little flying saucer go by.
Really?
And I know for a fact that in 1976,
little one?
Whatever the fuck they are, I know for a fact that in 1975 and 1976, you could check me out on this, a UFO landed in Hudson County Park. I was a kid, and the next day the feds locked off the park. They had yellow tape, they had samples. Go look it up, dog. There's a UFO. You see that's called, North Bergen is where I'm from. That's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a circular building. So they did so much coke in there in the 80s, they called it the grinder. That's what they called it, because it was shaped like the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge. I have a couple of friends that lived there. People that lived in that building have seen UFOs for fucking years. And if you go to YouTube, there's an actual North Hudson Park UFO. They dug up, they came out, there's a liquor store. And the liquor store guy says he's seen the lights. You heard like the organ music that they play. They landed. A couple Martians got out and took samples and got back in the thing and took off. There's a YouTube thing. There's a History Channel special about it. And I still remember being a young kid.
Did you find anything, Jamie?
That was what's popping up, all that stuff about that building. And
no.
Is there anything that says a UFO landed?
That's the story I'm reading right now is what he's saying. Yeah.
And witnesses, it's not just one guy that says on a UFO. It's people who got knocked on the door and said, did you see anything at 11, 10 at night? And they said, you know what? There were lights flashing outside. They contacted police departments to see if there was any. They went full. Then the FBI came in, circled the park, closed. It was by the Little League field in Hudson County. But it is, like you think it was Area 51, you think it was close to northern Las Vegas. The #1 place to see UFOs is northern New Jersey. They even made a reference to it in The Sopranos. When he said something, he goes, what are you talking about? Last week you said you seen a UFO in Hackensack.
Now, there's one video that I just want to end on because I heard it today and I thought it was a really interesting story. And it sort of could, if the story was true, explain a few things, okay? And it's something we've mentioned before on this video, on this channel before, all right? Take a little look at this. Make sure you go over to Poised On's Bastard 33. Listen to this gentleman.
Hey, Simon Treselian here. Voice of reason, former intelligence operator in the covert ops role. So let's try this a different way. So this is for entertainment purposes only. And I'm going to tell you a story. It's purely fiction story, but it's a story nonetheless. Okay. So human beings, for some while, have been in communication with, shall we say, outside entities. These are interdimensional beings. Remember, this is a story. And those interdimensional beings have been sharing technology with the highest echelons of the intelligence community on Earth for some while. In fact, since about 1947, when this was really, where it all began, after a certain area called Roswell became into the news. Now, this links into a lot of ancient history, including tales from the Sumerians, which talk of a different race called the Anunnaki that came down to Earth and supplied human beings with technology in order to be able to progress. Now, it's got so far in this story that human beings have progressed to the point where we're almost becoming interstellar. Now, that means that we will no longer be earthbound in this 3D matrix that the the other beings created in order to give us an indication as to a reality that they wish us to understand, and to blind us from the reality that we are infinite beings. Now, human beings by themselves have flaws, and these flaws were actually bred into them in some ways by our creators in this story. And that explains with the different DNAs, the different blood groups, the O negative element to that. And we can see that we hold not only some of the bloodlines, but also some of the flaws of our creators. So the creators have seen the problems that they created in history when they had their own wars. And they don't want us to go through the same thing, because human beings continue to have war. And that's okay, because it creates a balance in the world. But in this story, as soon as you start utilizing nuclear fission, it then becomes a threat not only to the nations that are involved, but also the planet itself. And the planet in this story is really delicate and needs to have a balance in order for these beings to be able to continue with their mission. And their mission is to increase the consciousness of this group of beings, which we call humankind, which are after their own image. So in this story, imagine that these beings monitor nuclear facilities, and have done since the early 40s, since the emergence of the atomic bomb. And a lot of these sightings of craft, which are interdimensional craft, and some are within the Earth itself, deep in the Earth and in the Earth's oceans, which they use to monitor us in the same way as they monitor us from the moon in this story. And the moon is a projection of a 3D matrix in this story. So imagine that things get out of hand with nuclear proliferation, and the beings have already been able to identify where our missiles are. They know that the missiles don't work, and they know that they can negate nuclear missiles. But imagine in this story that 40 nuclear warheads went missing after the breakup of the Soviet Union. So areas like Kazakhstan, Ukraine, in this story, lost some nuclear munitions, which found themselves in a very deep black market. And say in this story that someone was able to take one of those nuclear munitions, and in the view of trying to create and disrupt the world, brought one of those nuclear munitions to the United States. At that point, different parts of the government that are in collusion with these beings in this story would seek to find that munition. And we have that ability now. It's called drones. And the drones go out there and can sniff for this, nuclear reactive munition in this story. And the plasma orbs in this story are the alien allies that too are trying to find this. And the plasma orbs are interdimensional in this story, where they can go in and out of dimensions and in and out of our reality. We see them one moment and then they disappear the next. So in this uneasy alliance between the beings that created us in this story and what we are doing to the planet in a number of areas, but most certainly the biggest threat to the agenda of these beings in which we are created in their image, they already see what we are likely to do. And should this munition go off, it would create massive change in the world. And that's a change that these beings are not willing to undertake. So at the very highest levels of government, these beings are speaking. They're making themselves known. We've known about them since the Middle Ages and beyond, probably 10,000 years BC. We've known about these, and they've been in constant contact with the leaders of our communities since time began. Now, as we emerge as a nuclear nation and species, we are now in the potential area of threat to destroy the planet in this story. And of course, this story is just pure fiction. Pure fiction. So there we are. Enjoy the story.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you like it, and I hope you come.
You know what I find to be rather interesting with all these strange and disturbing news stories that seem to come out almost every day, and then we have these drones, the drone sightings, the whole drone phenomena, which has now turned into these drones are now sniffing out for lost nukes, that has now turned into these drones are trying to find this radioactive material that was lost in New Jersey. It was supposed to be in the shipping container, but for whatever reason, the shipping container became damaged. And again, the radioactive material has become lost. With all this stuff going on, every time a government official comes on TV, it feels like they're lying. They know something and they're not telling the truth.
What's the explanation for all those drones over New Jersey? What's behind all of that?
Nothing nefarious, apparently. But they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it, everybody wanted to get in the deal. But we're following it closely. So far, no sense of danger.
And with all this going on, the lies and everything we see in the news, it feels like something's coming to a head, that something big is around the corner, whether it's a false flag, more than likely it is a false flag, or something else. Again, it feels like something big is around the corner. But if you have been subscribed to this channel for quite some time now, you will know that, and you will remember that we have spoken about this months ago, before all these drone sightings, before all these other sightings and so forth, all these news stories. We have all said that we felt like something big was around the corner because there were news stories coming out where it seemed like the powers that be, the so-called powers that be, they were aware of something, they were planning, and not only were they planning, but they were also preparing. Now that it's very possible that something big is on our doorstep, it's here or it's coming up very soon, some of us have forgotten to connect previous news stories to what's currently going on today. For example, there were some millionaires and almost every billionaire that were buying these fabulous underground bunkers, these massive underground bunkers with also defense systems.
They seem to have a new obsession, bunkers. The top 1% are building bunkers. Mark Zuckerberg is constructing one in Hawaii, and it's worth $270 million, $270 million. It's almost like a status symbol now. But why do the super rich need bunkers? Are they trying to survive a war? Maybe another pandemic? Or an apocalypse? Do they know something that we do not? Our next report tells you.
It wasn't just Mark Zuckerberg that was building this massive underground bunker with rooms hidden behind walls, false rooms, false doors, weapons, and so forth. But there were a lot of these billionaires that were creating these underground bunkers, to the point there were news articles coming out in 2024, the beginning of 2024, that asked the question if these billionaires knew something that we did not. Take this article that was published on February 25th, 2024 by The Guardian. It is titled, "The Latest Billionaire Trend, Doomsday Bunkers with a Flammable Moat." And under it, it says, "Is all this bunker building a sign The 1% know something we don't and are preparing for the end times. Now, I don't know if they are preparing for the apocalypse or not, because the Bible does say that the rich will flee underground and in mountains, but it's also not outside the realm of possibility that the so-called elite, the so-called powers that be, will tell the other so-called powers that be that heads up, we have something big planned and you better start preparing now. You better start going underground now. These massive underground bunkers are also shrouded in secrecy, and people involved with the projects are bound by non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. And it goes on to state that the only other time you see that is when you're doing secure military installations. One local construction industry official affiliated with the site told Wired, for a private project to have an NDA attached, it is very rare. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the site is stating. The article goes on to say that Al Corby, president of Strategically Armored and Fortified Environments, SAFE, a Virginia-based bunker company, recently told The Hollywood Reporter that his clients have been coming up with cunning ways to ensure their luxury apocalypse retreats can't be breached by the great unwashed, which I'm assuming is us, the public. One of the projects Corby is currently working on for an unnamed business mogul is an island fortress with a flammable moat. Try and breach it and it will burst into flames. The article goes on to state, and the other articles as well, not just this one article, how these bunkers also have cannons and so forth. And a lot of these bunkers have been built or are in the process of being built very recently. So of course they knew that something was coming ahead of time.
This is not just a bunker. The entire island is like a fort with an inflammable moat. Basically, if you try to step foot on the island, it will burn down. But you will be perfectly safe inside the underground bunker. Sounds perfect for a zombie apocalypse. But why are the super rich building bunkers? What are they so scared of? Some of these bunkers have registered nurses, a collection of drugs, decontamination booths, medical supplies. One even has a full-fledged operating table. Basically, you can survive anything in there. It's almost like modern-day Noah's Ark. If you are in the bunker, you are likely to survive almost all catastrophes. But it's not for everyone. It's only for the chosen few.
And then we have that very bizarre story where people in Congress want to expedite the process of where if 100 or more members of Congress were to pass away together, then they should be able to expedite the process of immediately bring somebody in to fill those seats. Just out of nowhere, a couple months in September, before these drone sightings, before this whole nuke story, before this whole lost radioactive material story came out, lawmakers suddenly became worried about what would happen in a mass event where 100 or more Congress members were to lose their lives together. We have nothing in place. We have nothing planned for such an event. There were lawmakers that came out and said, we need to be able to fill these seats as fast as we can, and we have nothing in place. What? Are you worried about something happening in the very near future? Maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now? Then we had all these other news stories come out after the election about the quietness before the storm. It was very quiet. There was an eerie quietness, which led us all to believe that, again, something big was around the corner. I even made a video on this. So there was just a lot of news stories, a lot of articles that came out that, again, made us all believe that something big was around the corner. And now, again, that it could be on our doorstep. We have to look back at these previous news stories to know that they were fully aware and fully prepared and planning for whatever this is that is coming. But where is this something big going? Where is it all leading to? What is the end point? And I find it rather interesting, the lack of conversation around these long-range transportation plans, which are basically these smart cities. How many channels, how many people, how many news agencies are talking about these long-range transportation plans, and that almost every city, every state within the United States, every country has a long-range transportation plan. Some don't call it long-range transportation plans. They call it something else. Other countries straight up call them a long-range transportation plan. But almost every location around the world has a 2030, 2040, 2045, 2050 long range transportation plan. Matter of fact, if you go on YouTube and search long range transportation plan, a lot of states, a lot of countries actually have videos on these plans. The contracts are already put in place, the monies are being spent, and nobody's talking about it. When the Maui fires had occurred, and there was a lot of theories going on, there was one individual in a city county meeting that stood up and said, this is what the fires are all about, the Healy Mai 2040 long range transportation plan. Before I go ahead and play this video, I want you to ask the question, if there are stakeholders in place, shareholders, contracts, and monies already put down for this Healy Mai long range plan, and they basically lit Maui on fire, then what are they going to do with the rest of these locations that have these long range plans to make way for these smart cities to build from the ground up? Let us not forget that New Jersey actually has a 2030 long range plan, which means they are one of the locations that's on the chopping block first. And it's very interesting. These are where all the drones are coming from. This is where the radioactive material and possibly the nukes. And again, they are the first ones with a long range plan. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play this video clip.
Lived here on Oahu since 1980. Father, grandfather. This is an emotional meeting. Nani, you mentioned a moment ago, this is not about Maui. This is absolutely about Maui. And my concern, and I'm actually speaking to each of you sitting around this table. Each of you have a placard representing an organization. And I have a question before I actually have my testimony. By a raise of hands, are any of you participating in an event, in a restructuring as a stakeholder on Maui at any level, whether you're state, federal, private, or a private citizen? Are you engaged? Are you a stakeholder? Are you written? Is your name listed as a stakeholder of any of the redevelopment plans regarding a smart city? By a raise of hands, I would like to see a raise of hands, because the information is out there. Raise of hands. I can tell you, Department of Planning, DLNR, DBED, Housing, all of these agencies, and I'm not saying to you directly, but you're here representing these agencies. Therefore, it is your responsibility to tell the truth. Each one of these agencies have signed on as stakeholders for the redevelopment of a smart city in Maui. I'm asking you again, who is signed on?
So I'm sorry, but I asked for testimony pursuant to the agenda, and there's nothing on the agenda about smart cities. And if we could also refrain from yelling.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll provide clarification. Smart cities is everything about housing. The idea that you're going to sit around this table, and I realize it's not on today's agenda, but the idea that you're going to sit around this table and make decisions about the long-term viability of sustained life on Maui without the people's input, I can tell you, is this a charade? It is true. Try go to Hele Mai Maui 2040.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a 5-minute break. I have repeatedly stated we are not discussing Lahaina. Just to calm temperatures down. We will come back in 5 minutes. We're taking a recess.
You're all responsible, and I would like to talk to you when you say that it's not true. I can tell you, Hele Mai Maui 2040. Look at the stakeholders, and you're going to find all of your departments listed as stakeholders. Okay, I'll be right here.
And I have to be honest with you, I did not know about these long-range plans until after Maui, until after this video came out and this gentleman talking about the Healy Mai 2040 long-range plan. Now, yes, I always knew about these smart cities and what's going on with the smart cities, but I didn't know there was an actual long-range transportation plan behind it, the actual contracts, the actual designs, the actual phrase long-range plan. I did not know that had existed. And again, go on YouTube, type in long-range transportation plan, and you will see there are so many videos coming out from different locations and those behind it discussing the plans. And this costs money. You believe that just one day out of the blue, randomly, all these locations, all these officials behind these different locations just decide to say to themselves, I would like a long-range transportation plan. No, there are powers that be that are behind this. They told us they want to get rid of the cows. They don't like cows. They don't like farmland. This is all about control. This is where everything leads. This is a part of that 2030 agenda. Seriously, go on YouTube right now, type in long-range transportation plan. You won't find anybody talking about the theories behind these plans. You'll hardly hear anybody talking about this. But you will see that, again, almost every location has a YouTube video about these plans. So what's going to happen to the old cities? What's going to happen to the buildings, the homes? They all have to come down. If you pay attention to all of this, they all have to come down to rebuild the lands, restructure the lands to make it more eco-friendly. While all of this is going on above the reconstruction, and I don't know how they're going to go about it. Again, it could be a staged alien invasion, could be a false flag war, it could be anything. While the reconstruction is going on above, we will have the billionaires and some millionaires in their underground bunkers. We will have some Congress people in their underground bunkers after they fake certain events, and these Congress people are instantly replaced. This is more than likely why we have this great Hollywood outing currently going on. So these people can say they went to prison, like a certain Jeffrey, and all while they are just hiding in their underground bunker, while all these other things are currently taking place to, again, restructure all these lands and areas. But well, this is just for entertainment purposes only. Of course, this is just fear-mongering, so we should just go ahead and ignore all of those contracts, all of the long-range transportation plans. Let's just go ahead and outright ignore it. Let's just go ahead and ignore what happened in Maui, the Mai 2040 long-range plan, and let's just go ahead and blame the aliens.
Meet for the 20th. I hope I will have pleasure still to be invited for the meeting when we meet for the 20th Government Summit. You will use the app like Uber, but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided cars, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. No, Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030, Los Angeles will be private car-driven free. And this will allow to transform highways into parks and other public spheres.
A few hours ago, the Russian FSB published footage of the interrogation of the murderer of the chief of Russia's radiation, chemical, and biological protection defense troops, Lieutenant General Igor Kirilov, as well as his assistant, Major Ilya Polikarpov. It is reported that the killer was tracked down and detained without delay in the northwestern part of Moscow. According to the Russian FSB, the detainee is a citizen of Uzbekistan. Even though representatives of the Russian Special Services did not mention the name of the detainee, journalists from RIA Novosti managed to find out that it was Akhmat Kurbanov. It is reported that during the interrogation, the murderer of General Igor Kirilov and Major Ilya Polikarpov confessed that he acted on the instructions of the Ukrainian Special Services, who promised him $100,000 and departure to the European Union. Moreover, he also said that he had installed an explosive device in an electric scooter and, using a surveillance camera, live-streamed the moment of the explosion to the customers of the terrorist attack. According to him, the customers were in the city of Dnipro at this point.
Я приехал в Москву по заданию украинской спецслужбы. Я приехал, потом я покупал самокат, и через несколько месяцев приехал вещи для бомбы. Я это тоже принимал, потом всех готовили и поставили дом, рядом дом генералом. И потом, когда он вышел дома, я нажимал кнопку. Почему я сделал это дело? Для чего? Мне предлагали $100 тысяч и европейский паспорт.
Immediately after that, the Pentagon made a rather cynical statement. In particular, the U.S. War Department officially stated that they had nothing to do with this murder. Moreover, the Pentagon has also officially stated that they do not support such actions, as the assassination of a high-ranking Russian general. At the same time, Pentagon representatives forgot to mention that in the United States and other Western countries, there are dozens of special departments that, with the help of terrorist attacks and contract killings, eliminate persons displeasing to the West around the world. Against this backdrop, Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council Dmitry Medvedev said that the treacherous murder of General Kirillov would not go unanswered, and that all the perpetrators and customers of this terrorist attack would be severely punished.
Today's update of where we are on the front line and what does that mean?
Well, Kurakhova essentially is in the mop-up mode right now. Once you mopped up Kurakhova, I believe there's something like a battalion and a half now surrounded there of the armed forces of Ukraine. It will be mopped up properly without unnecessary rush. You know, there's no rush there. You know, Russians through economy of force, you know, preserving your personnel, doing the thing which is, you know, needs to be done. And they are primarily now, those are concentrated essentially in the one of the western part of the town, which is primarily industrial. So you have Novoselovka, they are being surrounded. Pokrovsk is being what is called hugged from the south. You can see clearly where this appendix, you know, grows. And so that's, it's not only that, it's not the fact that you every day, and especially after their briefing, first military collegia, what it means, the assembly of Russian top brass with president, you know, and minister of defense 2 days ago, and then briefing by General Gerasimov, chief of general staff, yesterday. So yeah, the numbers are adding up really well. It is clear that we are looking at 1 million KIAs in armed forces of Ukraine. So the United States is pressing, obviously, 18-year-olds, children basically, being thrown at the front lines because they do experience now tremendous shortages as evidence mounts, including from the POWs, including from the officer level POWs, platoon commanders, company commanders. They say their formation units are basically 40-45% strength. So that is primarily what they do now is whatever they have the dugout, they sit in there. There are some attempts to counterattack in the squad or platoon force, immediately checked, immediately killed, and things of this nature. So, but what is very interesting, and this is now begin to trickle into the mainstream media in Russia, is the fact that diversionary recon groups of Russian army, they operate now on the right bank of Dnieper. So take it any way you want. I don't know. So when people ask me, yeah, you have contacts and things like that, and I say, I don't know. Neither do those people. Only people in the Russian Security Council and in general staff know what is up in this respect. But as it turned out, there are what is called the diversionary recon groups now on the right bank of Dnieper. Why are they there? Of course, they do recon and diversionary activity as what the DRGs do. But I think so they are also kind of, sort of, let's put it this way, prepare the Platzdarm, if you wish, some bridgehead type thing. So who knows? So, and that is why people constantly ask me, including today, Nima asks me again, what about Odessa Nikolaev? I don't know. I really don't know. So, but we can speculate whatever we want. But what we observe right now is that at this stage, they run primarily, and many people do not recognize that essentially since last month, the advancement, general advancement along the most of the front line, south is kind of sort of not as active. It's about 1 kilometer a day. So it's 1 kilometer a day, they move ahead. So, and when you look at the maps, you see yourself, the advancement is like 30 kilometers ahead, 25 here, 22 there. And so, but again, this is not about just advancement. Russia, how to put it, as I already mentioned it so many times, the strategic dilemma in front of Putin and his team and the Russian government and Security Council is, what are we going to do with Ukraine? Because Russia has enough force, has enough, well, it's called Naryad Seal, which is essentially literally dressed up force. That's how it's translated. To take, let's say, make a dash, if you wish, towards Kharkov, and then, of course, start crossing Dnieper. Does Russia need to do this? I don't know, because it's political. It's not even a military decision. Russia has the ability to do it militarily, but what is the political decision? And of course, it is all, not all, most of it is dictated by what is briefed to Vladimir Putin and Security Council every morning. And the briefing is obviously by Chief of General Staff, Chief of SVR, Chief of FSB, Director of the FSB, all those big agencies, 3-letter agencies, no less, as in the United States, so those are 3-letter agencies. So, and that's pretty much what is happening, but there is absolutely no doubt of the outcome, no matter what Macron or his chihuahuas, around him try to play, try to kind of, perform with that. And as already stated many times, stressed non-stop for the last couple of months, there will be no freezing of the conflict, period. The regime of Zelensky will be annihilated, and whatever happens with Ukraine, yeah, it's just, militarily, so many options. It's long talk.
Scott, your thoughts on your interpretation of what's happening on the front line?
Well, I think Andre, basically wrapped it up well, so there's no need to repeat anything. I'll just say ditto, 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 and ditto. Good job. I'll just throw in maybe from an American political perspective, we've got a situation where Donald Trump has this retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who is supposed to be the point man, and I think a lot of what Russia's doing right now is sending obvious signals about what reality is, and hopefully Trump picks up on these signals and doesn't embarrass himself, because Kellogg is so out of tune with anything. I mean, he's spouting nonsense about casualty rates. He's talking about tactics that he doesn't understand. I mean, I would like to do him a favor. Maybe I can still make an indirect approach to him and introduce him to not only Andre's work but also Carolin's work. This outstanding blog that Mr. Carolin puts out every day, update on the front lines. And when you read this, and every once in a while he puts out a story. Here's Kellogg talking about human wave assaults, and it's like, really, that's not how it works. Why don't you actually learn how it works? Look, no one's denying that the Ukrainians are putting up a stiff resistance. No one's denying that. But no one's denying that the Russians are overcoming this stiff resistance on a regular basis, that the Russians have a formula that's basically rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And it's a formula based upon firepower supremacy, not superiority, supremacy, and total control of the operational environment. Where the Ukrainians do well is when they flood the zone with drones. There are portions on the front where it's very difficult for the Russians to maneuver because the Ukrainians just hit them with drone after drone after drone after drone. And the Russians haven't solved that problem of, the tactical FPV drones. I don't know why they're not issuing shotguns to everybody and flooding it with counter drones. I don't know, but the Ukrainians have mass produced these small FPV drones, and this is their primary form of fire support now. And it's very difficult when they have a drone unit in place, and some of their drone units are very good, very capable operators. They make it very difficult for the Russians, but that isn't happening everywhere. And where it's not, Russia's in control. They're moving. Kellogg needs to understand this. And the other thing that somebody needs to tell Trump is stop listening to NATO and Europe. There will not be a freeze in this. I mean, I can't speak for the Russian government. When I say there will not, I mean, who am I to say that? But all indications are that the Russians just aren't going to do that. There's no reason for them politically to do it. There's no reason for them operation. The opposite is the truth. The moment they freeze, NATO thinks they're flooding the zone with 100,000 troops. Russia's just not going to put up with that. So the Russia will, I believe, maintain this kilometer a day advance for as long. There's only 18 kilometers to the border between Donbass and Dnipropetrovsk, oblast, and that's it. Now Russia will have begun the process, of what Putin said was his limits. Now it's interesting to see what is going on, because now you have Medvedev very aggressively talking, and I know that he has a history of mean tweeting and things of that nature, but it's very entertaining. He's pretty good at it.
Bad cop. He's the bad cop.
But
he is a bad cop. He is.
But bad cops, they don't operate in a vacuum. So he's putting points out there that, again, somebody should be briefing Keith Kellogg. If you want to play stupid games, you will win stupid prizes, and the stupid prize you will win by coming in with nonsense is Russia will take Odessa, Russia will take Kharkov. Right now, Putin has politically committed to just taking the territories that have already been absorbed constitutionally. He is not politically committed to anything else, although he has teased it. Putin himself has teased with a recent discussion about Novorossiya, the new Russian territories, and they described that Medvedev jumped on board, but I think these are signals. I honestly believe that the Russians, if reality is reflected in conflict termination, Russia would be willing to stop the conflict relatively soon. They're not out for the physical destruction of Ukraine. There are things that have to happen. Demilitarization, denazification is a real thing. But denazification can be done, through constitutional changes, which is what Russia sought in the Istanbul communique and such. It doesn't mean the physical occupation of Ukraine. I think there's a deal there to be had. And if Trump was smart, he would literally tell Kellogg, don't say another word. Don't go on TV. Don't commit to anything. He silenced Gorka. Have you heard Sebastian Gorka say anything since he called Trump or called Putin a thug? No. He needs to silence Keith Kellogg. And Trump really needs to take over this negotiation and get very well briefed by people about what the reality is. If Trump comes in and is willing to lift sanctions and move towards the recognition of these territories as Russian, I think there's a deal to be had there. There's a deal out there that doesn't.
Can I throw a question at you real quick, Scott? Ironically, in order to get that, won't Trump have to denazify Ukraine first? Because when he starts talking sense to those lunatics in Ukraine, I imagine they'll probably be ready to string up Zelensky and who knows what. You know what I mean? I mean, there is an irrational ideology floating around Ukraine that even if Trump says, okay, we're going to do it, that these guys are not right. Anyway, your thoughts on that?
I think, again, I can't speak for Trump. I don't know what's going on in his mind. I do believe he's sincere about wanting this conflict to end, but I don't think there's any love there for Ukraine. I don't see him going to bed at night with a Zelensky doll in his arms going, oh, me and, no, I think he's actually a voodoo doll. And he's like, I got to get rid of this night.
Oh, he hates Zelensky. It's
yeah, so, he hates and the idea that he would bend over backwards to do NATO a favor at this point in time, his point is NATO got themselves into this bind. NATO's the one that's, committing itself to a $300, $500, $800 billion stupidity that America's not going to have anything to do with. So again, and Putin's smart. Putin's a very smart guy, and he's surrounded by very smart advisors. And I just think that there's a way that this can be done, but not if you continue to put Keith Kellogg on national TV saying stupid things, because that just sends a signal to Russia. Because Russia's, Trump's going to come in wanting to, and he doesn't want to get embarrassed. And it will be embarrassing if he sends Keith Kellogg in there. And I mean, who's going to meet him? Putin? Putin's not going to meet Keith Kellogg. Keith Kellogg, he's an envoy. He's not even Lavrov will meet him. Keith Kellogg will be met by, Captain Schmuckatelli, who will, say, do you want to go out for some pizza or something? But I mean, why are you here? What do you have to offer? Can you make the deal? Can you sign the deal right now? Get out of here? It'll be embarrassing for Trump. So the best thing is for Trump to do what he did with North Korea and take charge of this thing and begin calling Putin. The thing that made his relationship with Kim Jong-un work is the communication that took place. And he really needs to, once he becomes president, pick up that phone and start having direct conversation with Putin. The only person Putin's going to meet is Donald Trump, I believe. And they should meet in a neutral place, and there's a deal to be made. There really is a deal to be made. But we'll see. But on the front, I mean, Andre's 100% correct. This is we're watching the collapse of Ukrainian military in slow motion.
If your thoughts on the potential for a deal, Andre, and also just to throw a thought on there, that's part of the deal, I think, right now. You know what I mean? The Russians are putting themselves in a position on the battlefield because they keep saying, look, you're going to have to take into account conditions on the battlefield, which is obvious. But I think they're not that they're in a rush, but they're making moves, powerful moves now, so that when they say conditions on the battle, I think they intend to alter conditions on the battlefield between now. I mean, let's face it, 20 days is a long time when the front's crumbling. Anyway, your thoughts on the potential for a deal and all that stuff, Andre?
You're absolutely correct. Actually, Trump has about 31 days before he can officially declare the whole cluster coitus there a Biden affair. Okay? If he go, as Scott correctly pointed out, if he comes in and basically continues to follow along the lines of what Keith Kellogg spews, for example, it becomes Trump's war and Trump's bag with excrement really fast. I mean, really fast. And DNC and all those creeps, like Sullivan or Blinken, they will be rubbing their hands with joy because they will say, oh yeah, you know what, we tried and we didn't finish the job. And now it's Trump's thing. So if you look attentively at my hairdo, don't tell me that I do not look like Trump actually with his new hairdo. Actually, people say that. No, I mean, come on, the dude just, obviously I'm much younger than him. So, but the point is that in the end, Scott is absolutely correct. If Trump wants to change something, go out there, lift sanctions, and which already been kind of lifted, especially when you look at the story of the Gazprom Bank, all those gas issues and things like that. He will have to face this music, and he has the only way for him to make a deal, which is, of course, will be pretty much accommodating most of the Russian demands, especially in terms of the existence of Ukraine as non-aligned, demilitarized, and denazified, whatever the remnants of Ukraine will be. What can I say? So he might come out of this as the peacemaker, So, but will he be willing to do that? I agree with Scott. Keith Kellogg, good Lord. First, you have to understand, this guy, if he ever gets to meet somebody of, how to say it, real scale there, although I might consider the possibility that Putin will accommodate some kind of Trump's, intentions, like allowing Kellogg, if he flies to Moscow, for example, to meet somebody the scale of Ryabkov, let's say, first deputy foreign minister of Russia. Lavrov, I don't think so. He's going to be meeting him. But can you imagine Kellogg coming in there and meeting, let's say, Ryabkov and say people of the scale of Surovikin? Okay, they will be looking at this guy like, dude, we are the real generals. We command the freaking, the largest, military operations since World War II in Europe, and quite successfully. And here's the guy, who spews indeed all this garbage. He doesn't know numbers. He doesn't understand the dynamics. He doesn't understand the horrendous, let's face it, it is horrendous kill ratio. Which is, and again, Russians are not in rush. They, maintain, they try to save personnel. And so he's not going to have much success there. So as Scott correctly stated, remove freaking Kellogg and get down to it, down and dirty himself, because Putin will talk to Trump, no doubt about it. He will talk to Trump and he will be willing to meet him. But for now, it's what's left is the desperation, terrorism, pure and simple on the Washington-London axis. So especially with London thinking that they matter anything, they don't. Russia will talk only to Washington and proper people in Washington. So I don't see the value of maintaining diplomatic relations with United Kingdom for Russia at all. I mean, you can just simply break it off. And so, but it is what it is. And I totally subscribe to Scott's idea that Trump wants to get, something which is honorable and save the face for his administration. He has to call Putin.
Scott, let me show you something. And here's an interesting article. Russia to invite World War II allies to next year's Victory Day parade. In a way, everybody knows where we are, right? The Biden people are just going to keep doing provocation after provocation. You know, the killing they're going to do. They're trying to do everything they can to disrupt any possibility of any kind of agreement, right? And when I look at that, in a way, and Vladimir Putin speaking, and he said, "Yeah, let's do a duel, and you can set up your your air interceptor system, your air defense system, and you pick a target. I'll fire the Oreshnikov. Let's see if you can get it." It seems to me, here's my thought. He knows that he's not dealing with rational people, and he's kind of trolling them. And this business about we'll invite World War II allies to next year's Victory Day party, in a way, that's trolling them. It's saying, you know, look, this crap that you guys are doing, pretty soon that'll all be gone away and we'll be back there. You know, it seems to me that he understands the gravity of the situation, but everybody knows the game now, and he is kind of trolling. Anyway, your thoughts on some of the comments that came like this that seemed like I don't know if I want to say humorous, but in a way, from President Putin in the last, say, 24 hours.
Well, again, let's just start with the premise that Vladimir Putin has been doing this job for a quarter of a century. He's not new at this game. He's a KGB human intelligence officer, which means he was trained in basic, concepts of, exploiting human nature. I mean, identifying things, exploiting that, and then he's matured. I mean, he's been doing this forever. He's advised by some very, very smart people about the United States. Just watching him speak about Donald Trump, there's no doubt in my mind that he has put together a team, or his intelligence service put together a team of, human psychology specialists who have sat down and, because you listen to what he said, he can't. Donald Trump was shot, a brave man. I mean, he is stroking everything that makes Donald Trump, stand up and pay attention. And the courage he showed, my God, and it's just playing to his ego. And at the same time, he's just trolling Biden and the EU and NATO. He's just throwing things out there, knowing that Trump's eating it up. He knows that Trump's reading that stuff and going, yeah, this coming Victory Day is the 80th. This is a huge, huge deal. I can tell you that right after the 79th finished, I was getting phone calls about, will I come? Will, who else? They want to bring people. But that was before the election. I can't predict the future, but I will say that it would not be beyond the realm of possibility that Donald Trump gets an invitation.
Oh, yeah.
And that Putin sets it up with a summit. So this will be the grand alliance coming back together. And there will be a summit where deals will be knocked out. Whether or not that happens, but I think the Russians are probably leaning in this direction because, Trump is not just, a transactional person. He's not just the art of the deal. He is the art of the big deal, and he is the art of PR. And so if this is done right, and there's every reason to believe that the Russians will do it right, I'm guessing that you're going to see Trump get invited. And if Trump accepts, watch what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the British fall in line.
Sorry for interruption. I want to, if you allow me to simple add in. On the 79th, Russia invited American and British veterans to the parade on the Red Square. Obviously, there were, absolutely, catastrophic actions on part of those lowlifes from, State Department and, not allowing those veterans to go there. And what was very interesting, Maria Zakharova in Russian Foreign Ministry published then, the appeal, so to speak, and to address to those veterans, Anglo-American and other veterans who fought against Nazism. And there was a very interesting phrase there. You can go back to RT and look it up. It was, "We are proud of you, what you did." So they were directly talking to veterans, not to governments, not they would say, we are proud, we will always remember this, that, so, and well, Scott is correct. We might have the chance of, who knows? Yeah, if Trump, yeah, it could be very big.
Well, Scott, what do you make of this constant, and now it's been going on for 2 years? Macron, the British, we want to send troops, we want to send peacekeepers, we're considering to every other day. It's like a game. To me, it has become a game that, why am I listening to this again? I'm like, physically, kinetically speaking, it makes no sense. You don't have the troops. How would you get them there? How would you supply? It's absurd. And at the time when things are falling apart, and Trump's here and he has no love for Ukraine or any of these NATO leaders, he seems to hate them, to be quite frank. And they all tried to screw him and try to help Harris win and put him in jail and everything else. So I can understand why he'd hate their guts. But your thoughts on this business that we keep hearing, troops, peacekeeping troops, any excuse they can come up with to talk about sending troops?
Well, it's curious. Scholz, too, the Germans, talking about sending troops. Well, Scholz just had a vote of no confidence. He's out. His government's collapsed. It's done. Macron had just replaced his prime minister. People are calling for his resignation. He had to do a little screed where he got up there and cried to his French people about how he's not going to resign. I am the president. Da 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 da. Keir Starmer is millions of people are signing a petition for for sort of the equivalent of recall election. And yet these are the guys talking tough. These are pathetic, failed politicians who are playing the only card that they feel makes them look strong. They're trying to look strong, so they're playing this card, but it's irrelevant. I mean, the same thing with this Rutte character, the Secretary General. He just sits there and babbles and babbles and babbles and babbles, and then you have a German admiral who there's a Danish admiral who babbles and babbles. NATO is an empty shell. They have some things. They have air power, but I don't think the air power would perform well against a modern integrated air defense system. But what they don't have is a land army. I mean, they've got numbers there, but they don't have a land army that's capable of logistically and operationally projecting power. Sending 100,000 troops into Ukraine is a logistical nightmare. Sustaining them. That's even if, when Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, they came rushing in. They got to Kuwait City. They got the Kuwaiti royal family to flee to Saudi Arabia, and everything was doing okay. But then they moved to the border with no resistance. They moved to the border of Saudi Arabia, and they damn near defeated themselves because they weren't ready for that kind of logistical demand. I mean, it's hard to move troops and to have them in combat formation and prepared to everything. It's very, very difficult. And if you don't do it for a living, France has done one major troop movement exercise in the last 15 years, and they moved 12,000 troops, and they couldn't do it. It was hard, almost impossible. And now you're talking about NATO moving 100,000 troops. It isn't going to happen. It's a fantasy. They'll defeat themselves. Even the Russians won't have to do anything. By the time they arrive, one Russian soldier come out and go hands up. They'll have to surrender because they've run out of fuel. They don't have ammunition. They didn't get it right. This is just political rhetoric. There's nothing there. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here worried that this is actually going to happen. I chuckle because Scholz isn't going to be here much longer if he's out. Macron may not survive into the next year too deep. He's highly unpopular. His new prime minister isn't going to solve problems. Keir Starmer's in a lot of trouble. Great Britain's falling apart. I think the only
Trudeau ain't looking so good. He's done.
Yeah. So and Biden's gone. So there you go. Right. You got Biden, Trudeau, Macron, Schultz, Starmer, none of these people have any staying power. So I think it's just a lot of words, and the Russians know that. All the Russians have to do is just keep doing what they're doing. And there's nothing NATO can do in response, literally nothing. It's just panic talk, which I think they're talking that way to influence Trump more than it is to actually get something to go. And hopefully Trump is, again, he needs some good people. I hope Tulsi Gabbard gets brought in, and so she can sit down next to him and tell him the truth about what's going on.
Let me ask you this, Andre. Europe, they're still struggling in Georgia, not having any luck there. They're trying to overthrow you. Romania, certainly. Most of Europe is overthrowing itself one way. The people are they're throwing the people out. The future of Russian and Europe relations, I think one of the reasons it's going to be difficult to predict is I think we're going to have a totally different Europe than we had when the special military. It won't even be the same continent. Politics will be different. The economy is going to be shot. Your thoughts on the future of relations between Russia and what's left of Europe?
Before I go, I want to add to Scott's points. That's the operational level officer speaking, by the way. That's what you.
The situation of the Ukrainian army and NATO forces continues to deteriorate rapidly along the entire combat contact line. Unable to remedy the situation on the battlefield, the Ukrainian General Staff and its NATO military advisors continue to stage serious provocations against Russia, bringing the whole world closer to a nuclear holocaust. In the last 40 days alone, the Ukrainian army, with the help of NATO officers, has fired more than 20 Western long-range missiles deep into Russian territory. Fortunately, almost all of these missiles were successfully intercepted and destroyed by Russian air defense systems. Simultaneously with this, perfidious terrorist attacks continue to be recorded in Moscow and other cities of the Russian Federation. The loudest such terrorist attack was the treacherous murder of the head of the Russian Armed Forces Radiation, Chemical, and Biological Defense Troops, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, and his assistant Major Ilya Polikarpov. Seeing all this, it becomes obvious that the Kiev regime, together with its masters in the West, is trying to provoke Russia into a sharp and extremely harsh response, up to the use of tactical nuclear weapons. It is obvious that the Biden administration, against the backdrop of its humiliating defeat in Ukraine, urgently needs a serious escalation of the conflict, in order to accuse Moscow in the international arena of using lethal weapons systems against Ukraine, and curtail the peace plan of the 47th U.S. President Donald Trump. By the way, immediately after the assassination of General Igor Kirillov, the Ukrainian army and NATO forces launched another provocation against Russia. And this provocation has already led to significant losses among the officer personnel of NATO allied countries. My dear truth seekers, in this video, I will tell you in detail about this provocation, and how it managed to deliver a devastating blow to the Ukrainian army in the North Atlantic Alliance. So, a few minutes ago, the acting governor of the Rostov region, Yuri Slyusar, officially announced that the day after the assassination of General Kirillov, the Ukrainian army and NATO forces fired 6 Franco-British Storm Shadow cruise missiles against the Rostov region. According to Yuri Slyusar, Russian air defense systems successfully intercepted and destroyed all these cruise missiles. Later, witnesses began posting numerous videos online, where it is clearly visible the flight of these Western cruise missiles in the skies over Russia, and their debris after being destroyed by Russian air defense systems. Thus, Moscow's enemies once again fired Western high-precision long-range missiles deep into Russian territory. In addition, on the same day, the Ukrainian army and NATO forces also launched 4 Storm Shadow cruise missiles against targets in cities such as Tokmak and Berdyansk, Zaporizhia region. According to the governor of the Zaporizhia region Yevgeny Belitsky, Russian air defense systems successfully intercepted and shot down all enemy missiles. Russia's reaction to this treacherous attack was not long in coming. So, just a few minutes after this enemy attack, the Russian aerospace forces, together with missile forces, launched a massive combined missile attack on enemy military installations in the Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv, and Sumy regions. It is reliably known that during this attack, Russian forces used dozens of cruise and ballistic missiles, as well as more than 100 uranium kamikaze drones. According to independent monitoring services, more than 30 powerful explosions were recorded in these regions of Ukraine. Moreover, it is reported that the air alert is still sounding in all key settlements of these regions. So, in the Dnipropetrovsk region, in the city of Kryvyi Rog, immediately after a massive attack by uranium kamikaze drones, Russian Iskander-M ballistic missiles struck and destroyed several large industrial objects and energy infrastructure facilities. It is reported that this major city was left without heat and electricity as a result of this attack. It is noteworthy that as of December 20, 2024, the Ukrainian authorities have still not been able to restore the electricity supply to this city. In the Kharkiv region, in the northwestern part of the city of Kharkiv, Russian ballistic missiles, together with kamikaze drones, hit a fuel storage facility and the place of the deployment of the personnel of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries. In addition, Russian missiles also destroyed the infantry and heavy equipment of the Ukrainian army in the area of the settlement of Tsirkany. It is reported that the Ukrainian High Military Command planned to transfer this infantry and equipment to the positions of the Ukrainian army near the city of Volchansk. It is reliably known that as a result of this missile attack, more than 80 Ukrainian soldiers, 20 foreign mercenaries, and 8 units of heavy equipment, including German Leopard tanks, were destroyed. And finally, in the Sumy region, in the southwestern part of the settlement of Unikovka, the Russian forces launched the largest number of missile strikes. At the same time, it is worth noting that the Russian military fired 5 Iskander-M ballistic missiles against only one Ukrainian army's military facility, located in this settlement. All this indicates that the Russian military knew exactly where to strike, and what an important target was at this military facility. Later, sources in the Russian military department confirmed that in the settlement of Unikovka, Russian Iskander-M ballistic missiles destroyed a classified command post of the Ukrainian army, along with 5 active-duty French officers and 8 British Army officers, who fired 6 Storm Shadow cruise missiles against the Rostov region. In addition, sources also confirmed the death of 10 Ukrainian army officers, who were also in this command post. However, the missile strikes on the Sumy region did not end there. As it turned out, on the same day, Russian missiles also hit an enemy logistics hub in the city of Romny. It is reported that as a result of this missile attack, the Ukrainian army and NATO forces lost about 20 units of heavy equipment, 50 Ukrainian soldiers, and 15 foreign mercenaries, among whom were also active duty soldiers and officers of armies of NATO countries.
Into in 1948, America spent $135 billion in today's money to rebuild Europe through the Marshall Plan. Right now, BRICS countries are positioning to invest over $800 billion in Africa's future. But here's what everybody's missing. This isn't just money. It's about something far more powerful. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why this could be the biggest shift in global economic power since World War II. And if you think this doesn't affect you, wait until you see what's coming. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why Africa, with 60% of the world's arable land and the fastest growing population, still struggles economically? The answer might make you angry. Now I want you to picture this. 1980s Africa. The World Bank and IMF arrive with the so-called help. Their structural adjustment programs forced Africa to float their currencies, remove essential subsidies, privatize state companies, and open markets to unfair competition. Now, pause for a second and imagine what we have just said. What will happen to your country tomorrow if someone forced it to remove all protective economic policies overnight? The results were devastating. Many African countries haven't yet recovered from the structural adjustment programs up to today. But what happens next is even more shocking, and it explains exactly why BRICS matters so much right now. Now think about this. When was the last time you heard a Western institution funding a project that connects multiple African countries? I'll wait. I will wait. Write in the comment section below. We've all heard about the Libido project, which is actually an answer to China's Belt and Road project. But this is the West reacting to what China has done because they are competing with China for resources. Now look at what BRICS is doing. They are funding the Tanzania Standard Gauge Railway project, about $1.6 billion to connect not just one country, but Kenya, Rwanda, DR Congo, and Ethiopia. But here is the real game changer. In the next minutes, I will show you why this multi-country approach could completely transform Africa's economic future. But first, let's talk about what everyone is getting wrong about the BRICS. People think this is just about replacing the dollar. But that's like saying social media is replacing phone calls. The reality is far more interesting. BRICS isn't just creating alternatives to SWIFT and the World Bank. They are rewriting the entire rule book of global economic development. And African countries are about to play a major part in this transformation. It should be noted that as of now, African countries make up 25% of BRICS. Now, here is where things get really interesting. BRICS isn't just offering Africa loans. They are offering something far more valuable, a seat at the table. Africa's consumer market will hit 2.4 billion people by 2050. The number of millionaires is projected to grow by 47% in the next decade. But here's the twist that nobody's talking about. BRICS members aren't just seeing Africa as a market. They are viewing it as a future manufacturing powerhouse. And this changes everything. So ask yourself, what happens when African nations can finally trade using their local currency? What happens when they can build factories without crushing loan conditions? But let's be real for a minute. China's economy dwarfs other members. The Chinese GDP is about 70% of the other member states in BRICS. There is a risk of strongman politics, and some critics say it could create new forms of dependency. However, here is what these critics are missing, and this is actually crucial for understanding where the real opportunities lie. The game isn't about choosing the West or BRICS. It's about leveraging both to build something new, and this is where you come in. Now let me show you exactly how this BRICS transformation is creating three massive opportunities in African manufacturing. The first principle, look for industries with high import dependency, because here's what most people miss. When a country imports 80% of basic goods, that's not a problem. That's an opportunity waiting to happen. Now take Dangote's oil refinery in Nigeria, which is actually the largest single train refinery in the world. But importers of refined fuel in Nigeria welcome it. The answer, you know it, is no. Importers fought him every step of the way. Why? Because disruptions threatens established patterns. We just set disruptions. That's a lot of business opportunity. When you disrupt something, when your business is in a disruptive scale, it means you're going to make a lot of money. And that's what Dangote is doing right now. And he has not even produced up to the full capacity of his refinery. He's disrupting the market. That's the same thing with every manufacturing industry in Africa. It is just an opportunity sitting there and waiting for people to exploit. Now, you should remember this because it is your competitive advantage. Now, the second principle you should have in mind is that you need to focus on regional value chains. BRICS is funding multi-country projects because they understand something crucial. Africa's future isn't in 54 separate markets. It's in one unified market of over 1 billion people. And that is going to double by 2050. So pause for a second and think. What products are being imported by multiple African countries that can be produced locally? So the next principle, look for industries with existing raw materials. Africa has 60% of the world's arable land, vast mineral resources, and an enormous workforce. But here is the biggest question. Why should you care about all this? This is simply because we are looking at the biggest economic transformation since China opened up in the 1980s. And just like then, the biggest opportunities won't be in trading, they will be in manufacturing. And that's why we talk about manufacturing on this channel. We talk about all types of machines on this channel because we know exactly what you should do. So here is what you need to do right now. Start mapping out import-dependent industries in your region. Secondly, look for industries that multiple African countries are importing. Next, research what raw materials are locally available. And most importantly, don't wait for comfortable conditions. Dangote never waited for comfortable conditions. When he started, we all know what happened. I made a video on this channel about the incident between Dangote and importers in Nigeria. He didn't wait for comfortable conditions because after even building the refinery, importers were still after him. So never wait for the comfortable conditions. Start right now. Don't think, just start. If you follow the principles I have told you in this video, you don't need to think anymore. Just start. Now remember this, Africa's transformation won't come from membership in BRICS, the IMF, or any other institution. It will come from people like you who see these changes coming and take action. So the question isn't whether Africa will industrialize. The question is, will you be part of it? Because in 10 years, people will either tell stories about how they saw this coming and took action, or how they missed one of the biggest economic opportunities of the 21st century. If you found this video valuable, hit the share button and share with 3 people you know that they need to hear about this.
Are not coup d'etats. These are revolutions. They are revolutions because it has become obvious that those who are lackeys of France in the Sahelian region were manipulating the electoral process, were using institutions such as the judiciary for purposes of perpetuating the French agenda. And that these young men from the military came out and said, no, when the people cannot do it through traditional revolution, we are going to do it through the barrel of the gun and use the institution of the military to change the equation. And they have changed the equation. How have they changed the equation? First, they are saying we are cutting political ties with Paris. Secondly, we are cutting economic ties with Paris. We are getting out of any organization which is led by France. We are cutting off the situation that compels us to use currency that is printed in France. We are ensuring that our resources are going to be refined, and they are entering into arrangements with a number of countries, including Russia and China, to begin to build institutions and installations that are going to refine their uranium, refine their gold, so that there is value addition. What is happening in the Sahelian region is, in my submission and in the view of many independent commentators, the beginning of the total liberation, not only of those countries, but the former French colonies. And it is not lost on me that the leaders of those countries are sending a very clear message. They are sending the message that any institution which makes the claim that is a Pan-African institution but is being controlled from outside will be defied. I remember that day, the day after the coup d'etat in Niger. And I remember the meetings that were held in Accra, Ghana, the meetings that were held in Abuja, Nigeria, the meetings that gave a 72-hour ultimatum to Niger and said, we are going to invade you, not in so many words, but we are not going to allow you. I remember the sanctions that were imposed upon Niger. And I remember all the 3 leaders, Traoré in Burkina, and I remember the new leaders in Niger. I remember the leaders in Mali saying, we are now entering into a military pact. You attack Niger, you have attacked Mali, you attacked Burkina, you have attacked Mali, and you have attacked Niger. And of course, even Doumbouya in Guinea-Conakry said, we will join you. That is a new face. It is a face that was not contemplated, and the Sahelian revolution, because it is a revolution, is beginning to redefine how former French colonies are relating with France at the critical levels, including the area of trade, including control of their militaries, including control of their language. And it is not lost on me that in Mali, they have actually declared that French is no longer the national language. Bambara is now the national language. It is a clear statement that they are beginning to regain their independence, and they are doing it in a manner that was not anticipated and in a manner that was not contemplated. It begs the question, will the men in uniform continue to be in power until kingdom come? No. They have said in Burkina, they have said in Niger, they have said in Mali, they have said in Guinea-Conakry, we are midwives. We have come here for a short time to clean up the mess that has been with us. We have come here to clean up the mess that the French have always created. We have come here to ensure that the insurgency, which is sponsored by the French in Burkina Faso, which is sponsored by them in Mali, which is sponsored by them in Niger, which is sponsored by them in Guinea-Conakry, that this insurgency will eliminate it and will introduce a new system of governance which will allow the peoples of our country to participate in their governance without being controlled from Paris. They are saying that we have been puppets for too long. We are now regaining our independence, and this revolution is a revolution which is unique, is a revolution which is being defined and refined by young Africans whose agenda is the spirit of Pan-Africanism. The Sahelian revolution is a revolution which will change the continent of Africa and redefine Africa's relationship with the former colonizers. In order to understand the Sahel, we must go back to the year 1958, when Charles de Gaulle governed France. And when Charles de Gaulle and his administration took the decision that their former colonies would be granted independence and asked that they vote no or yes. Yes, to mean that you would regain something called independence, but you would remain under France. No, to mean that the French would run away. Only two countries voted no: Algeria under Ahmed Ben Bella and Guinea under Ahmed Sékou Touré. The rest of the countries remained under the tutelage of France and have remained so, controlled politically and economically, including their currency, the CFA franc. So that recently, in the 21st century, when young men in the military took the decision that they would change things, it was something that shocked the French and shocked the world. Shocked the French because they said, we are now gaining our independence. What we had was not independence. And I listened so very keenly to Doumbouya in Guinea-Conakry. I listened very keenly to Aïta in Niger. I listened very keenly to Traoré in Burkina Faso, and their message was clear. There are those who said within ECOWAS that Mali must not, when we talked about Mali at that time, they said Mali must be expelled from ECOWAS. And they came and they warned that they were going to attack Mali, but the Malians said, no, we are going to protect our newly acquired independence. The same message came from Guinea, the same message came from Niger, the same message came from Burkina Faso. And there is now unanimity within the Sahel that the time is now to redefine their relationship with France particularly. Let us understand why that redefinition of relationship is important. It is important at two levels, at the political level and at the economic level. We start with Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a country that was formerly known as Upper Volta. When via coup d'etat, Thomas Isidore Sankara took power in 1983, he said we must rename our country. And he renamed the country Burkina Faso. And he renamed the people the Burkinabe, the country of upright men. And he said that the time has come that we must be totally liberated from France. France has controlled how we conduct our politics. France has controlled what we sell and what we buy. France controls our money. France controls our everything. And he redefined everything. And within 5 years, we now know that Thomas Sankara and Burkina Faso as a country were liberating themselves and were capable of feeding themselves. He said we must take charge of our gold, we must take charge of our uranium. But within 5 years, in 1987, they had induced Blaise Compaoré to assassinate him. And this is always important to remember. When Isidore Sankara was told that you are going to be assassinated and the possible assassin is Blaise Compaoré, he said, Blaise is my friend. If it is Blaise whom they have hired to kill me, then I will not survive. And he did not survive. France controls the Sahel because of our resources. Then, of course, Niger. Niger is a country that is known for her uranium. Niger is a country that is known for our resources, and we know for a fact that even some of the nuclear tests that have been undertaken by the French have been undertaken in the deserts of the Sahel region. We know that that particular area is rich in all manner of resources, and the Nigerians took the decision that we are going to change this. When the coup happened, one of the things that was most frustrating was that a decision was taken that Niger must be treated differently, and people don't understand why ECOWAS reacted in the manner that it did. It was uranium. It was the uranium that is not only used in France, but is used in different parts of the world for nuclear facilities. And Niger sits upon uranium that has value that is inestimable. And the idea to ensure that Niger was ostracized from the ECOWAS community was at the behest of the French. And it is important that the Sahelians have taken the vow that they are going to protect Niger. Outside of Niger, we are also aware that the Malian regime with Assimi Goïta, who is the current president, have taken the decision that they are going to ensure that Mali, even with the sponsored insurgency, is going to remain a country that is independent. And it is not lost on me that Mali is the home of one of the most important freedom fighters in Africa, Modibo Keïta. So the spirit of Modibo Keïta is now resurgent in Assimi Goïta, and we can see that that particular country is also moving in the direction of ensuring that they are liberated from French domination. And once again, we know that Mali is a country that has a long history with Sundiata Keïta, with Mansa Musa, and the Niger River flows there and supplies oil. And in the areas such as Timbuktu in northern Mali, we know that there are major resources. The same with Guinea-Conakry, which may not be described as being specifically in the Sahel, but is one of the countries that is supporting the activities that are going on in the Sahel to the extent that they are redefining how Europe, particularly France, relates with Africa. Which begs the question, what is new in Sahel? What is happening in the Sahel that is new? Is it a revival of Pan-African spirit? Is it something that is going to change the complexion of that region and by extension change the complexion of the world? Commentators are now saying that while many are quick to characterize the changes in the Sahel as coup d'etats, and therefore against the African Union declaration that Africa will not entertain non-unconstitutional changes of power. Pan-Africanists and those who know how France is operating and has operated say these are not coup d'etats. These are revolutions.
Times, Burkina Faso has grown to become formidable in air power. This is all thanks to President Traoré, who saw the necessity of transforming his country from one that was inadequate to one that is competent. Indeed, Burkina Faso has come a long way from being a country that needed the approval of France before it could get military equipment to one that has invested massively in its military defense capabilities. But how did Traoré manage to take his country to this point? Let's find out. Before President Traoré came into the picture, Burkina Faso, just like the other Francophone countries, was under the control of France. France dictated and influenced everything from politics to economics and even the military, thanks to the Colonial Pact. You see, the Colonial Pact signed between the 14 Francophone countries and France ensured that France maintained control over their economies, foreign currency reserves, and raw materials and resources. The pact also ensured that France could station its troops in their countries with free passage and demanded that all military equipment be acquired from France or with France's approval. This clause is the reason why for the longest time, even when Burkina Faso began to experience insecurity, the democratic government of Burkina Faso couldn't outfit the military. As the clause in the Colonial Pact stated, Burkina Faso could not acquire military equipment without France's approval or even buy military equipment of its choice. Imagine that. How can a country dictate what another sovereign country can do? The West is supposedly the champion of human rights, equality, democracy, and freedom. Yet Western countries watched as France killed the sovereignty of Francophone Africa. Isn't that hypocritical and a double standard of the West? Think about it. Can the US dictate which military equipment France should buy? Certainly not. However, France saw nothing wrong in doing the same to another country. But we shouldn't be surprised after all, France has always regarded Africa as its backyard. This is why during an exclusive interview, the Burkinabe Defense Minister Kassoum Koulibaly stated that Burkina Faso used to rely on its traditional partners who imposed their conditions on the country in terms of what military equipment to buy and from whom. According to the minister, Burkina Faso has a lot of military equipment acquired under unfavorable conditions imposed by its former partners. We often bought very expensive equipment under these conditions. We have a lot of tanks that were purchased mainly because we were tied, very tied, to a partner who imposed on us what to take, he explained. However, President Traoré's entrance into the scene completely changed this inhumane system created by France. With Traoré at its head, Burkina Faso broke the Colonial Pact and ended the defense agreement that allowed France to dictate Burkina Faso's military capabilities. This gave Burkina Faso the freedom to acquire whatever military equipment it desired to get. The interesting thing is that unlike big African countries such as Egypt and South Africa, which have huge budgets, Burkina Faso doesn't have a huge budget. It has a small budget, and to make matters worse, it is facing a severe insecurity crisis with no help from anywhere. Despite this challenge, Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Traoré, has been able to outfit its military and modernize its air fleet to a level that can be comparable to that of many big African countries. The best part is that he was able to do this without the help of the West in the 2 years since he has been in power. How many African countries can boast of this? Before we proceed, here is a reminder to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. President Traoré was able to achieve this feat through his commitment to seeing the development of the military and eradicating insecurity as well as strategic planning. In January 2024, Captain Traoré revealed in an interview that the United States, France and their allies refused to sell lethal weapons and even blocked Burkina Faso's delivery, forcing Burkina Faso to turn to Russia, Iran, Turkey, South Korea, and China for weapons purchased elsewhere. Imagine that. He also revealed that there are Western countries that have openly told us that they won't sell us lethal things. But according to Captain Traoré, the country needs these weapons to counter terrorists who spread chaos and insecurity. Traoré also revealed that his own army was performing so poorly that at times he had to borrow weapons from neighboring countries. In certain operations, we borrowed weapons from neighboring countries to carry out our operations, laundered the weapons, and returned them, he said. This attitude of France in the West shows that they are indifferent to the insecurity in the Sahel and its impact on the people of the Sahel. If they really cared, they would surely act differently. However, thanks to Russia, China, Iran, and Turkey, which do not impose restrictions or conditions on purchases, Burkina Faso has been able to obtain good weapons for its military. Recently, the Burkina Faso army announced a new shipment of combat drones from Turkey to strengthen the country's anti-terrorism activities. The announcement was made by Traoré's government through the local media in Burkina Faso. The delivery includes 2 new Akinci long-range combat drones, marking an important step forward in the country's efforts to strengthen its defense capabilities against terrorist and insurgent forces in the region. The 2 Akinci drones presented to Captain Traoré at the ceremony are part of a larger batch of Turkish weapons acquired by Burkina Faso, which includes 5 Bayraktar TB2s and a variety of guided and unguided munitions. The Akinci were likely delivered to the Burkina Faso military earlier this year, while the 5 Bayraktar TB2 drones were delivered between April and May 2022. During the ceremony, Captain Traoré expressed pride in the integration of drones into the Burkina Faso military and highlighted the drones' effectiveness in combat operations. According to Traoré, the expansion of the drone force will allow for rapid intervention and continuous monitoring to ensure the security situation of the country. Burkina Faso's Minister of Defense Kassoum Koulibaly also confirmed the expansion of Burkina Faso's military bases and thanked Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan for the fruitful partnership, which he said is sincere and beneficial, unlike Western countries. However, Turkey is not the only country with which Burkina Faso has recently cooperated in the acquisition of military equipment. During the handover ceremony on January 12, 2024, Captain Traoré showed off new high-quality military equipment purchased from China. According to public information, these weapons include armored vehicles, self-propelled mortars, and a variety of weapons and ammunition. Traoré revealed that the delivery is part of a strategic equipment plan aimed at strengthening security forces in the fight against jihadist militants. During the ceremony, President Traoré inspected 6 WMA-301 fire support vehicles manufactured by the Chinese company Norinco, equipped with a 105mm gun. He also inspected 8 CS/SM-1 self-propelled mortars with a caliber of 81mm, using Dongfeng light tactical vehicles as platforms. Interestingly, this is the first time that this kind of military equipment has been seen in Africa. In addition, Traoré was shown several shipping containers containing 60mm WW3 mortars, mortar shells, and RPG-7 recoilless rifle projectiles. And according to the Minister of Defense, Brigadier General Kassoum Koulibaly, this was the first of 5 shipments scheduled to arrive in the coming months as part of the Strategic Equipment Plan. The Strategic Equipment Plan was previously announced by Colonel Traoré in a television address on December 31, 2023, but he did not give many details, only saying that the supplies would arrive within the next year. And true to his word, this military equipment was purchased and is now being used in the fight against terrorism. But how can Burkina Faso afford to buy all this equipment when Western countries have cut off all financial aid to Burkina Faso? The answer is rather shocking. At the handover ceremony on January 12th, Colonel Traoré explained that the acquisition of these high-quality weapons was made possible not only through strict management of state revenues and national resources, but also through the efforts of the people. Traoré explained that the Burkinabe people made generous donations to enable the authorities to purchase this equipment. As you know, the Western propagandized media like to paint the image of the Traoré regime as oppressive and violating human rights simply because it is a military regime and not an ally of the Western countries. But that is a distorted view. The fact is that the vast majority of Burkinabe people are happy with Captain Traore's current government. If not, why did they help the military purchase this equipment? However, the West does not want that, which is why articles in major Western media are spreading false information about the Traore regime in order to paint a distorted image of Captain Traore. As a result, the authorities recently suspended two major Western media outlets, the BBC and Voice of America, for broadcasting a human rights report that accused the army of attacking civilians in the fight against the jihadists. The Communications Authority said the decision was necessary because the report contained hasty and biased statements without concrete evidence against the Burkina Faso army. He also said that the approach of the BBC and VOA was disinformation that could discredit the Burkina Faso army and undermine the basic principles of information processing. He also added that this could lead to disruptions to public order. But here is the question. If the reports are really true, where is the evidence? You see, ever since Captain Traoré and the rest of the military leaders of the Sahel drove out the French troops, severed ties with the West, and opted to align with Russia, China, and Turkey, Western media has only reported how jihadist attacks have increased or how the country's soldiers have been killed civilians. There are never any good reports on the junta's efforts to combat the security situation. How many of these media have reported the news of how Western countries have prevented Burkina Faso from obtaining superior weapons? How many people reported that Burkina Faso has had to borrow weapons from neighboring countries at times? We are shocked by the hypocrisy of Western countries, but there is no doubt that Africa will win no matter what. In fact, Captain Traoré's military government is the best thing that has happened to Burkina Faso in many years. And with Captain Traoré at the helm, Burkina Faso will be able to fight insecurity and make the country safe again. The Burkina Faso Army's successful procurement of military equipment is a testament to Mr. Traoré's commitment to utilizing cutting-edge technology to achieve national security goals. Interestingly, Burkina Faso has just added the Turkish-developed Bayraktar Akinci drones to its defense arsenal. These advanced unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, represent a significant technological advancement in the operational capabilities of the Burkina Faso military, and their introduction into the country's defense system marks a turning point in the country's ongoing efforts to defend and retake territory from rebel threats. As we can see, the Bayraktar Akinci drone is not just another addition to the Burkina Faso military's arsenal. Rather, it is a sophisticated tool that will redefine Burkina Faso's approach to modern warfare. Equipped with the latest avionics, Akinci can perform missions at high altitudes and for long durations, providing unparalleled surveillance, reconnaissance, and combat capabilities in the fight against insecurity in the country. The Akinci's ability to carry a variety of payloads, including precision-guided munitions, has increased the operational flexibility of the Burkina Faso Army. One of the Akinci's most valuable and important attributes is its excellent surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. Equipped with advanced sensors and high-resolution cameras, it can provide real-time intelligence, monitor vast areas, and identify threats with the utmost accuracy. This capability is crucial in areas where rebel forces often use remote and rugged terrain to their advantage. In his address to the Burkina Faso Army, President Traoré did not hesitate to express his gratitude to the Turkish presidency. He said, "Our cooperation with Turkey is going very well. This is an opportunity to thank His Excellency President Erdogan, who knew how to give this cooperation the necessary shape. We appreciate all the support that we have been able to provide to Burkina Faso at this important stage of the history of our country in the fight against terrorism. This kind of partnership is healthy and sincere, and in any case, everything is going well until then." Traoré also expressed his gratitude for Burkina Faso's contribution that made it possible to obtain the Akinci drone. "I would like to express my special gratitude to the people of Burkina Faso, who shed their blood so that this military equipment could land on Burkina Faso soil," he said. "You know, we owe this equipment to our people. These devices will increase our operational capabilities. Some of the devices are under maintenance. There is no set number of devices that can be shared, so expanding our fleet will allow us to intervene in a timely manner and ensure constant surveillance. Therefore, I would like to thank you once again, the people of Burkina Faso, for understanding the importance of the fight and especially for this contribution that allows the Army to increase its forces to defend the 10 regions. After receiving the drone, the Minister of Defense also expressed his gratitude to the Burkina Faso people for their contribution and to Ibrahim Traoré for their vision, commitment, and dedication to the defense of Burkina Faso. Thanks to the contribution of the people, we now have a large number of this species in the sky, able to scan and search for any enemy and, if necessary, find and destroy it. I also greet the supreme leadership of the Burkina Faso Armed Forces, whose vision and instructions ensure that there will be no shortage of strategic means to support the ground forces. In the future, the Bayraktar Orange drone is expected to play a central role in Burkina Faso's strategic defense initiatives as part of a broader modernization plan. However, one thing you should understand is that only a few people in the Burkinabe military have the capacity to operate drones. So, Traoré decided to do something about this deficiency. In a significant step to enhancing its security and technological capabilities, Traoré created a new drone pilot training center. This first-of-a-kind facility is set to revolutionize not just Burkina Faso, but Africa's capacity for drone technology and provide specialized training to equip military personnel with the skills needed to safeguard communities and protect natural resources. The training facility also aims to strengthen the operational capabilities of the Burkinabe Internal Security Force, ISF, in terms of drone piloting. Now, this training facility has finally borne fruit as several students graduated from the facility on October 12, 2024. How incredible. This means that Burkina Faso now has more people with the technical skills to operate drones and use them for military missions. You can imagine how excited President Traoré was for these incredible achievements. And guess what? It wasn't just the military that was involved in this training. The Burkinabe police force, as well as other security operatives, including the customs, were all given the opportunity to participate in the training. And on October 11th, the Director General of Transmission and Information Technology, Chief Police Commissioner Zachariah Habier, chaired the end of training ceremony in initiation to drone piloting at the drone training facility. During the ceremony, the graduating students, who are the first sets, received their certificate, certifying them as drone pilots. Speaking at the ceremony, the Chief Commissioner praised the trainers and the students and congratulated those graduating. According to him, these drone pilots will be beneficial in retaking the territories currently occupied by terrorists. Undoubtedly, these drones will help shape a more responsive, agile, and effective military force. Their deployment is in line with the national strategy to strengthen surveillance, improve response capabilities, and ensure comprehensive coverage of key areas. With their advanced technology, precise strike power, and robust design, these drones will be fundamental in Burkina Faso's efforts to secure its territory and ensure the safety of its people. As Burkina Faso continues its fight to reclaim its territory and ensure its security, the new drones stand as a symbol of the country's resilience and the strength of its international partnerships, the contribution of its people, and the support of its allies. What are your thoughts?
Kofi, follow me.